Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
I am coming in right now. I am feeling so rejuvenated because I am back from a girls' trip that I talked about last week, and I am feeling so good. How is everyone else feeling today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. I'm feeling great. Had a good weekend with Ember.
Yes, you did.
We went on a 2.5 mile hike.
Before school.
Or not, maybe not 2.5 miles, 2.5 hour hike.
2.5 hour hike.
How quick. But
Before school.
Wow, that might be more than like 2 miles.
We went on a 15-mile hike. I took my 7-year-old.
I was dragging her.
She did it.
No, she was like so pumped. She was like, I want to get up super early before school and go on this hike. So I was like, okay. And I got her up and she was like, what is the time? And then I took her and she killed it.
And you got to school a little bit late, and she was so proud that she got the late drop off.
Yeah, because when you go into school and you get to tell everyone why you were late, it's like, whoa, that's cool.
It's such a powerful flex when you're young, or if like your parents take you over the lunch period to get McDonald's or something. You're like, I guess I'm a god now.
Yeah, I guess you can all worship me. Here's my idol while I'm gone.
But no, I am feeling,
trip?
I mean, I had so much fun.
Yeah.
First of all, I went to go see Kaity Thurston's stand-up show, which was so good. We're going to get into it a little bit later because someone who performs some stand-up there is going to be our guest here in a few minutes. We're going to get into it. I am so excited. But the show, if you have an opportunity to see Kaity Thurston live, you know we love her, but I've never seen her stand-up before. It was so much fun. There were so many fun elements. She was hilarious. The room was buzzing. There were just Bachelor fans galore. I got to meet so many people. It was just electric.
Yeah. Well, because that could be scary. Like, what if she was bad?
It's true.
You know what I mean? And like, you go in to see your friend and they're bad. Like, you go see your friend play music and you're like, oh, he's going to come to my show. And then you show up and you're like.
And then it's the opposite when then you go in and your friend absolutely destroys and crushes. And you're like,
she's good at this because, my God, that's amazing. Yeah, there's nothing better than showing up and then your friend kills it and you're like, yes.
So good. But that was so much fun. And then after that, we hung around for a few days, me and my bestie, Kaity, the other Kaity who doesn't have an Instagram. So shout out Instagram. Kaity. And we met up with Kaity Thurston. We went out. I still am feeling a little hungover, but it was a great time. But I'm feeling rejuvenated. And then on top of that, a few days before, my sister came up and helped me do some serious work on the room.
You guys.
Everybody, I thank you for holding me accountable. Now, granted, it's not done by any means, but
you can see the floor.
You can see the floor.
Yeah. Wow.
You can see the floor of my room.
Yes, guys. This was huge.
So proud. Thank you, sister.
This was huge. I mean, we all know that this has been a campaign for the family for a while.
Yeah.
To get into, and I knew we needed outside help.
We really did.
I was too close. I couldn't, when you're just too close, you can't be the one that says, hey, you need to change your life.
Yeah.
So I brought in some outside help. I knew the sister. The sister is very detail oriented and very cleanly. So I knew, okay, she might be the one that could crack through. And they worked on it for
a full day,
like 8 hours.
Yeah, probably more than that.
Right. And
straight, no breaks.
We can see the floor now.
We can see the floor.
We can see the floor now. We're not done, but it is in a great place.
It's in a great place. Now, the question is, will the floor remain? But I'm going to do my very best.
No. It is remaining. And this is not a do your best. We have to keep it this way. We cannot, guys, and let's be super honest. There is a little leakage into the hall right now.
Okay, we don't have to talk about that.
It's a little concerning.
Let's not go that far in admitting the truth of the matter. Has the leakage, because I'm now trying to keep the floor clean, so now the leakage is starting.
She's like, instead of putting it in the room, I'll just put it in the hall.
Soon our living room just becomes the room. It's just going to become, you can't see the floor. I'm just like, well.
At least the room's semi-clean.
The room will be absolutely pristine and the rest of the house is just destroyed.
But I want to give you your flowers here and just say that I am very proud of you because I know there was some sort of monument in your brain about doing this and you went in and you tackled it and I get it when there's
Thank
like a
you.
thing that kind of holds this like.
Thank you. I did it, and then I took my girls trip. It felt honestly kind of just like a reward at the end of it. That's what I gave myself, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, I like the idea of she's like, I'm doing the room on this day, so I need to book a 3-day trip because I need to reward myself for the trip. That'd be hilarious if that was actually what went down. But
well, that's what's gonna start happening.
But I'm proud of you. I just want to let you know, and I feel like we as a couple now have just. There's new heights. I've seen a brightening in your eyes. We've
really conquered that.
It's almost like you've just kind of come forward with like a big secret that you finally just cleansed yourself of. And I want to let you know I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the family for all the encouraging messages to really push me through. It really is what pushed it over the edge for me.
Yes.
So anywho, okay. Last night's episode, I am very excited to have this guest that we have coming on to discuss last night's episode because what in the world? There were so many new elements that we've never seen on this show before. I felt like we got half of an episode. I want to get into it. I feel frustrated about things. I feel confused. I have so many thoughts. So we're going to dive into that. And also other Bachelor Nation stuff because this individual is an absolute expert.
An absolute expert
and hilarious. But before we bring him in, we need to take a quick pause.
Okay, let's do it.
So, family, apparently the average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that just for 2 seconds. I'm guilty of much more than that, most of which I forgot about, and that's a money waste. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions.
Rocket Money helped me realize that like I have been paying for things since like college. I was like, oh, I still am subscribed to that.
Unbelievable.
We love Rocket Money. It saved us both a ton of money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spendings, and helps lower your bills all in one place.
And Rocket Money makes it so easy for me to get rid of those subscriptions I forgot about, like the app that turns me into a puppy. I loved it, but I don't need it year round, you know? So thank you, Rocket Money. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. Boom, done. It's that simple. And by the way, over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. I know for me personally, it saved me around $1,000 a year.
It's huge. It's huge. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/momdad. That's rocketmoney.com/momdad. rocketmoney.com/momdad.
So should we just dive right? Listen, I'm still coming off of the trip. My brain's still a little mushy, okay? There was a lot of vodka. Should we just bring our guest right in?
I think we should.
Let's do this.
I think we should.
Well, we are officially here with stand-up comedian extraordinaire, the host of the YouTube acclaimed Bachelor Nation News and host of podcast Bachelor Rush Hour, our king, Dave Neal.
Hey, how are you? The king of search engine optimization. I'm going to name my kid Bachelor.
That'd be amazing. I could see it happening. We're in LA, you know?
I mean, you know what? However you make more coin, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bachelor and Bachelorette, that's their names. Yeah. We're busy, but I am so glad to be here. I feel like I'm in like Steve Jobs, garage before he, you know what I mean? Like this is like, this is punk rock.
Welcome to our garage. That's the thing about it. I'm like, you might see what it looks like on the screen, but behind it is just
trash.
Like, it's just cords
Cables.
Everywhere, the back of our house.
And like studio porn, when I see a new, even if I don't like it, I like to check it out. Like with Nick Viall's, it's new and it's a work in progress, but I'm like, he's got candles and a rug. Like you're just like looking at it, zooming in on things. Like what?
That studio looks sleek. This is a little more.
This is a Van Nuys porn studio.
We're rock and roll, Dave.
Well, first time I purchased a shirt for a podcast.
And you look so. If you're not watching the YouTube, you should be, because Dave, you're looking sharp.
Yeah.
You got the full vintage vibes
I even
of your
put
mom
some
and
vintage
dad.
hair. I've got Wonder Years hair today.
You've got the swoop.
It's looking fire. It's looking fire.
I appreciate it. I was just talking before you came on about how this last week I went to Kaity Thurston's show, the comedy show that was fantastic. And you were on that show and you were amazing.
Thank you.
It was so good. I just enjoyed every single second of it. I was texting Evan afterwards and I'm like, damn, they crushed. Your comedy was incredible.
Appreciate that.
And then the Q&A, they added a fun Q&A at the end. Delivered some tea.
I wish I interjected more because I was like, for sure this is going to be on TMZ. But so far, nobody's leaked any recordings. Although I'll tell you this, not to be like shamelessly promote, but I did add a part of the Q&A to today's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast.
Really?
I did. Just an innocent one about how she dumped Blake Moynes. But there were so many aspects. I'll say this, the part that I finally had to say no was when an audience member asked which of her Bachelor alumni boyfriends had the bigger penis. I said, we're done. We're done. I will not be attached to this
This is the Q&A. This is how spicy the Q&A got.
You just like...
I was like, we're done. I was like, it's Blake, but we're done.
Yeah. I want to hear this. Answer the question, but we are done.
And Kaity texted me yesterday, and she's like, so we're not going to air the Q&A, right? I was like, no, I'll share everything with her first, but I think it'll be fun to air it fully censored. Just bleep
out. Yeah, bleep out certain names, bleep out certain... I mean, because it was like I had told you, I'm going to a comedy show. I'm so excited. You both crush. And then this is this like gift at the end. And the room is packed with Bachelor fans. And the questions that everyone was delivering were so spicy. And then like just, you guys were just putting it all out there. It was everything.
I told you this and I'll tell you on air. I was most worried about bombing in front of you. I wasn't going to do your podcast if I bombed. I'm not going to come here and you'd be like, so stand up, how's the thing going? You know, no, not going to happen.
Well, right before you got here, I said, getting invited to a friend's anything where they're performing anything is always terrifying. Yeah. Like even if it's a musician and you're like, those songs suck. The voice sucks. And you're having to go, great job afterwards. So when your friend bombs in front of you, it's brutal. But when your friend kills in front of you, you're like, thank God.
Well, the amount of variables in stand-up are wild. And now you take a specific audience. So I hosted or did stand-up at an event that Hannah Brown, at a private Hannah Brown event 2 years ago and bombed.
You bombed. Really?
Yes. I had to do 30 minutes and
That's a lot.
I was 6 minutes in sweating.
You knew it was
Jacket's
over.
got to come off. I was getting heckled. And then afterwards, you always can tell from the bouncers because they're always comedians too. It's at the Hollywood Improv. It was at like noon on a Sunday.
And it was at the Improv too. So you're like in royal. This is like a proper.
I was the only comic. It was that. Then Bring Out Hannah. I crushed her intro. You know, I just crushed it because she's got a good intro. And then someone else interviewed her. And then I ran the Q&A with her, but the crowd looked, and this is how Kaity's crowd probably differs, is that the crowd looked like they were just waiting till they could get a photo with Hannah Brown.
Yeah.
That's what the crowd felt like to me.
They were like, shut up.
I had their like books and I'm like, dating's weird. And I just start going into jokes and they're like, who the hell is this guy?
Right.
I tell you what, if I had to do 5 minutes, it was 5 minutes too many. And I think I ended up bowing out at 27.
Oh my God.
That's also like doing, comedy at like a restaurant where it's like, I came here to eat. I didn't come here to laugh.
Comedy,
So you better be like so good that I'm like jarred out of my moment. If you're going just to like watch someone be interviewed and then you're getting hit with comedy, you got to be like 5 times better than you even normally are because you have to grab people out of that moment.
Yeah, especially my wife was there and I've bombed in front of her, but like sometimes when she's not in the room, I can like bring out the extra fastball, shit on her a little bit, whatever.
Right.
She does not care about. Yeah. She's all about like, hey, you get laughs, go for it.
Of course, but when she's in the room, it feels a little different.
Having performed in front of that Hannah Brown crowd, I was like, oh, Kaity's crowd better bring it. And luckily, a lot of the crowd was there for me too, and they were fantastic. But
That's awesome.
We had never run the Q&A before, but we didn't really prep at all. But
it was, I said this earlier, but I'm like, if you have the opportunity to go to one of these shows, you must.
I hope she does them again.
I sure hope so too.
I think she's kind of wanting to see because I'm like, I immediately like, we can go to Tempe, we can go to El Paso, you got these club connections all over. And, you can bring it, but we'll see. I mean, it's a great opportunity for her to be this new into stand up and she's not getting overexposed, right? Yeah. She's doing 10 plus minutes, which is a lot for someone new to comedy.
So much, Dave.
But not like she's not for like some TikTokers will get a following and headline, and it's like that audience will never come to another show again. That's a horrible experience for them.
Right. They're like, we don't want
you want to give them a
comedy.
good show.
Yeah.
But like, what do you do? Like Kaity wasn't just spilling the tea; she was telling jokes and the other comics and stuff.
Good. Yeah. No, I just had the best time. And then, my friend and I probably tormented you afterwards because we had a little bit too much to drink.
She was rough. What's her name? Kaity too?
She was rough.
Yeah, bestie Kaity.
She was rough, man. She literally was going up to my wife going, "You are so much better off than this guy." Like, which is what I talk
like
about. I
Kaity.
talk about it in my act. Oh, she's the better half. You know, she gets, you know, whatever.
But to truly hear it to your face is a different animal.
Best friend Kaity loves encouraging the ladies.
She loves that.
But she was much nicer at brunch. So I was like, brunch is probably more.
The booze hadn't been involved.
You like brunch, Kaity, more than
the
yeah,
wildness.
I
And I was like, I got to get this woman on the show. I got to get her on The Bachelor because she is wild. But I'm scared because I know she'll become a villain.
Oh yeah,
because she's just.
But she doesn't have social media. Imagine being a villain and not have social media.
Yeah, so
you just get to live your life.
So this best friend of mine doesn't have a social media, and we were talking like, what would it be like if there was, especially a bigger character on the show with zero social media presence?
Yeah.
Do you think that they'd allow it?
I don't know. It's almost like they don't exist.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to, like this new world we live in with the contestants. If you don't like someone, you know, people send, you know, child protective services to their home. They do crazy. I was talking about this with my other channel. I covered Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Right. And people still think I'm a horrible human for covering a story everyone else covered.
Right.
And I got put on a list where people were getting swatted. People have died from getting swatted. That's when someone will call the police and say so-and-so's running some illegal activity, whatever. They make some lie up, and then SWAT teams show up, and you're in your underwear and have PTSD now from it.
Oh my God.
And it didn't happen to me, but it happened to someone else on a list. There's only 12 people on this list. I was like, the internet's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if they're like crazy in the comment sections, but some people will DM your mom, DM your this, your that. God forbid, you know, your children and wives, that all has to be off limit. They didn't sign up for this.
I know. But that was the thing. So I'm like, what this idea of having someone on the show who can't get any DMs, who's protected in that way, and then also can never be said you're here for the wrong reasons because they have no social media presence.
Yeah.
Unless all of a sudden you pull the fast move where you don't have social media and then about a month after you appear and then you start raking in the followers because people are now like,
Michelle Young was virtually no social media beforehand.
True. That's
so
true.
Now it is kind of cute to watch the alumni try to like do influencer work, which we've spent years trying to build up our brands. And now they're like, how do I promote Lancome, whatever? And it's like, the privilege.
I'm like, you have been building. I am so bad on Instagram. I'm like the influencers. I'm always like, God bless, because I do not know how to do it. I don't have that special gift. I love a podcast.
Yeah.
But an Instagram influence, Evan's always like, you should post more. I'm like, no, thank you.
Oh boy. My wife, the torment she's had to go through trying to do deliverables when we're traveling. And, you know, if it's like, and we're at the point now, it's got to pay extraordinarily well because people don't understand how much time it can take.
It takes a lot
and
of time.
Sometimes a company will be like, hold a beer can, here's $500.
Sure.
But in most cases, it's like a lot of effort. And, you know, it's like, and then you have to worry about the products you're using because it's like there's an ethical aspect to it.
You have to be doing all the vetting, but also then, like you said, I think when people have millions and millions and millions of followers, then they can just hold up the Coke can and they're fine. But if you don't have millions, then there's the expectation.
Yeah, the blue collar influencer lifestyle.
I like
You're
that.
in there with like 60,000 followers trying to squeeze out some rent payments, and people are like, oh, it must be nice. Is it? I don't know.
like the rent payment, that's not happening.
Yeah, so my social media is real lame. I can't hack the system. They're like, well, you got to use size 64 font captions. Shut it. I don't have the time. Like, I just make content all day, and I let it.
But that's
be.
the thing. Your YouTube content reigns supreme.
Thank
It
you.
is. I mean, so much of the Bachelor
Yeah, I mean,
Nation
he's like
news.
a one-man like MSNBC or CNN. It's insane.
It's gutter trash, guys. I'm taking tweets and I'm turning them into 15 minutes. What I learned is that they call them mealtime length videos.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to be 8 to 15 minutes long. I actually don't like to watch the 3-minute video. I want to watch the 12-minute video so it gives me time to do the laundry that I'm doing and not have to toggle through like TikTok.
Agreed.
TikTok, you have to you need to have like one person scroll and you watch them together. And it's
you have to be super present versus like you said, you put the 12-minute on and then I'm just doing whatever I need to do. I'm cooking, which doesn't happen, but I'm pretending to cook and I have that on in the background.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if I have I had a 27-minute one recently, and it was like a Nick Viall was like, it's so funny with his podcast, and I like what he does because he gets a lot of traction because of it, but his producers will paraphrase something that somebody else said, then Nick will react to the paraphrase of the producers, then I'll make a video watching them, then play the actual source material, and say this is all bullshit what they're saying.
It's 3 levels deep.
Yeah, like Chris Harrison caused so many issues by just randomly talking on his podcast that then Nick was like, wait, Chris thanked all these people that support him, and Nick's like, he didn't thank me, and then that leads into something, and it's almost like when you give like an Oscar acceptance speech, you better be thanking every agent that worked with you, or someone's gonna hate you for life.
It's so many levels deep. Okay, speaking of this though, and then I want to dive into this episode because I know you have a lot of thoughts, and we have a lot of thoughts too, because this was a bizarre episode in all the levels of it. But you have been in this Bachelor game for so long. You know the ins and outs of everything. I'm sure you know so many secrets. Your hair is full of secrets at this point.
Yes, every gray hair is a secret that I've got.
Plucks one out and reads it.
I got a big one yesterday I'll share afterwards.
Oh.
If people can read my eyes right now, yeah, that's right. Big one. Wow. Some crazy stuff going on out there. We'll find out soon.
I'm like, okay,
it's
Dave.
fun when it's someone else's story to tell and you're just like waiting for it to drop because you're like, this isn't me. I don't want.
I'm not touching this.
I look at myself this way. I'm like in a long distance race and like reality Steve's in the front with the mud getting kicked on him from the horse, and I'm just standing behind him drafting. I don't want any of that shit. I don't want the headlines that I broke these types of things.
No, you're like, I'm just reporting on what's already been broken.
Just commentary, really. Yeah. Just commentary.
Just a killer commentary.
My opinion, if you don't like it, go find the source material.
So here's your opinion, okay? I'm going to call this Dave's Bach Nation Superlatives, okay? Now, superlatives, it's a loose word in this because it's more like your opinions on a couple questions that I have. So can I quick fire with you?
Please.
Okay. Dave, who from Bach Nation would you want to go on The Amazing Race with?
Jesse Palmer.
Really? Okay,
if I had
why?
to be a contestant, it would be Blake Horseman. I look at guys as if I would go on a fishing trip with them, and for like my celebrities are easy, like Tom Cruise, Matthew McConaughey. They're just Nick Lachey. It's weird, but but I look at them because fishing's boring. So who can I have a beer with and hang out with? Jesse Palmer for sure. And when they signed him up, I was like, immediately, this guy's going to be fantastic at what he does. Probably underutilized for how talented I think he is.
Probably. I think that's what it is.
He's out like 38 seconds an episode.
They never have this man on screen.
He's got the best. I want his job. It's like he guy's chilling all week long, and he comes in and he goes, "Hey guys, sorry," and he leaves again, and he's gone for a week.
He just told this story on the Rick Eisen podcast about when he was the Bachelor and how he had to call Tom Coughlin, his new head coach, and explain that he's the Bachelor. And it was such a fish out of water story. He's so good at that type of stuff. We don't even scratch the surface on the show, but he would be, or Blake Horseman, like an anti sort of corporate guy. Like I wouldn't want a grocery store Joe. Anyone who's getting paid by the franchise, I don't think would be too much fun.
That's a no for you. Okay. Yeah. So which Bach Nation couple would you choose to take on a double date?
Oh, wow. Can I have you guys? Do you guys
I'm like, I'll take it, but definitely adjacent.
I guess it would probably be Blake and Giannina. I don't know if they count as a Bach Nation couple. She's Love is Blind,
Love
right?
is Blind. Still reality TV god,
I just think they're pretty cool. I think I would like Thomas and Becca, but I have a feeling Becca doesn't like me. I don't know. It's whenever you cover content, you rub people the wrong way sometimes. I like her. I think she's great. But when I covered the story about everyone taking these Shein product deals for $100,000, when they have slave labor and cultural appropriation, all these things, she was one of the people, and other people turned down $100,000 deals like Kaity Thurston. Other people said no to it. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I would take the $100,000. So I understand the dilemma that exists. But I'm also not Maddie Pruitt trying to tell everyone preach love and then take $100,000 while I'm also selling books about, all that. Just lost your Christian base here.
Listen, the ex-evangelicals, you're not losing any.
Okay, good. There we go. It's but hypocrisy. That's what's fun to call out.
I know.
And not even from a place of like privilege, like, oh, dare you. But it's like, okay, it's capitalism. It's our country being blind to what we're doing, which is bidding making cheap stuff overseas and then selling it up here and pretending like, we're all for the Bible. I don't think Jesus would have done that.
I sure don't think so, Dave. I sure do not think so. Okay. Who from Bach Nation would you most likely take PR advice from?
Caitlin Bristow. Mm-hmm. She's my goat. She's my top of the She's
the best.
She made it work. She built equity when the show had turned their back on her. She didn't have the power of the show. She went to hell and back, slut shamed, all these things when she was just some cool Canadian who thought we could talk about, oh, we're on a dating show, we can fuck. And then they're like, the hell you can.
Oh my God. I mean, not only was Caitlyn like one of the best bachelorettes of all time, just so good, the amount of success and work that she's put in after is unbelievable. It blows my mind always. And on top of it too, not only has she had then all this wild success post, but then she puts in like the daily work on top of it, which if I was at her position, I'd be like, I'm coasting, but she's just out there making the TikToks, making the content on top of all of that.
And
like,
it's no
amazing.
offense. It's no offense to the pageant queen era, like the Hannah Browns, because I think Hannah Brown's now coming to terms with how her idea of coming off perfect has been detrimental, but Caitlyn Bristow will show you how she's struggling, and I just love, because we all are. We're all having days.
Yes.
And she shows people, and she's so well read and has done so much therapy and work on herself, and you just can feel what her brand is. You hear Caitlyn Bristow, and you think you Spade and Sparrow wine is right there, and she's just like that loud. I mean, she would be on my fishing trip list for sure.
Yes. No, I so appreciate how vocal she's been, especially in like the recent days about like all of the therapy that she's doing and the child work. Like it is
child work. Yeah.
I mean, as someone who struggles with my mental health, like having someone like herself who's so successful and clearly just like works her ass off, be open and honest about those days and how much she's struggling behind the scenes. Like it means everything.
She didn't conform to do it.
No.
She did it kind of on her own time, and she was rewarded because the audience came. The show would have never had her back. The show, we talk about this all the time, but the show's, it's a psychopath. They don't feel pain. They're there to sell things. They don't care about body diversity or whatever until there's money and boycotts and things. They're just a corporation, and they don't have your back. And they weren't going to care about her until she built a following and she came back. And maybe Katie Thurston will have a similar path, as far as like the shows turn their back on her. And it's clear to see when you see all the alumni that get invited to things. And she was the one who like actually had a backbone and took a stand. Whether you agree with her or not, she took a stand on what was going down before her season.
Yes.
And she bet her whole future on it.
Yes. And then the franchise just turned their back on. I believe that Katie Thurston will have a Caitlyn Bristow rise 1,000%.
Katie Thurston's whiskey. We're selling it here, folks.
Just pulls out from behind. Got a full bottle prep.
I want 10%.
Evan's been drinking it this whole time.
I'm wasted.
Okay, let's take a quick pause from the conversation for 1 second. Listen, family, we all know that the ladies of Zach's seasons have had to do the packing of a lifetime to pack all these gowns and all the glam, the hair, the makeup. But let me tell you, if I was on the show, the one thing I would make sure I had packed, because it is oh so important to me, is Vegamour, okay? It has been my hair savior, helping me grow strong and healthy hair. You all know how obsessed I am with Vegamour.
Vegamour's clean and vegan approach to hair health uses smart botanicals that promote visibly thicker, fuller, longer looking hair. With help from Vegamour, you can get healthy, beautiful looking hair without the use of harmful chemicals. All their products are cruelty-free and never contain potential harmful chemicals like parabens or hormones.
You all know what a gift Vegamour has been to me. It's changed my hair for the better when I didn't think it was possible. I raved to everyone, by the way, about their Grow Revitalizing Shampoo and Conditioner Kit. It works together to create visibly thicker hair and improve hair from the roots. All you have to do is massage the shampoo into your scalp for 60 seconds and then follow up with conditioner on the lengths and the ends. It's as simple as that. And I have to say the simplicity of it makes it so easy to keep up with. And their dry shampoo, oh my gosh, it's the only dry shampoo I will ever use. It's amazing. And there's no risk when trying because they have a 90-day money-back guarantee.
Give your hair exactly what it's been craving with Vegamour. Go to vegamour.com/momdad and use code MOMDAD to save 20% on your first order. That's VEGAMOUR.com/momdad. Code MOMDAD to save 20% off at vegamour.com/momdad.
So if you're anything like us, which of course you are, we're family, right? Then you love your pets so much you could cry, okay? They're perfect. But if one of your precious pets is a cat, you know what's not perfect is the stink from the kitty litter, okay? It's a no, but you don't have to worry about that if you use Pretty Litter, best in class, superior odor control.
Nothing beats Pretty Litter's odor control. It's ultra absorbent, and instantly traps odor. It's lightweight, dust-free, and works for up to a month without clumping. That means no more wasting litter. Plus, Pretty Litter ships free to your door in a small, lightweight bag. The ease of it all. No lugging that bulky container from a store to your car and into your house.
And on top of that, Pretty Litter is made with crystals that change color to indicate early signs of potential illness like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. It is truly incredible. My family has cats, and they changed to Pretty Litter years ago, and now it's all they'll ever use. So get Pretty Litter today. Go to prettylitter.com/momdad to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/momdad to save 20% on your first order. prettylitter.com/momdad. Okay, so who from Bach Nation would you not want to get in a fight with? And I don't mean physical, I'm talking online.
Oh man, Victoria Fuller. Yeah, she doesn't lose fights. Oh boy, she will. Yeah. Some other people, it's a good one. There's certainly, there is a bias when you cover Bachelor Nation. Like I walk the line when I cover Nick Viall's stuff because I'm like, I don't want to deal with a DM or something from him. And like, just because there is a game that's being played that does exist. But I think I'm fair to an extent. I just take light jabs. I'm kind of like a younger brother with that type of stuff. I take light jabs, but like I probably promote his show more than anything. There aren't too many people I can think of that I would be like hands off, not want to mess with. But I probably just avoid them.
Right.
Some of the people that came off like a villain, but actually look like that in real life when you see their social media. Some of the people that just immediately are like, the treacherous, treasonous guy who was promoting the January 6th event.
Oh my God.
James McCoy Taylor. And then he goes to Aspen, Colorado. I made a whole series of stories about this. He promoted the insurrection before it was an insurrection, when it was just a rally. And then he's like, go meet me over there. And then when everyone called him out for being there, he goes, no, I was skiing. So it's talk about an ultimate grifter.
Terrifying.
But those are the people that he makes a MAGA song, then a MAGA part 3. And he's like, and then of course he gets busted with a DUI with an underage girl this year. So not to say, I guess I guess I'm not afraid of him because I've covered him a lot. But some people are such shit stains on the Bachelor underwear that even when you cover them, there's a visual for you. It's like people are so dearly wanting to forget about them because they're not like fun villain. They're actually like kind of rotten humans.
No, you're like, I don't want to give this guy any sort of numbers. Oh, that man gives me a full-blown heart attack. Okay. Who from Bach Nation gives you your best headlines?
Oh boy. Well, I know right now that Claire has been good to me.
Really?
Kaity Thurston. Do you mean like they DM me headlines or just
no? I mean that's a fun too. But
anything Claire, Kaity Thurston's was good, but we probably covered so much of her that it's probably coming back down. Blake Horstman versus Nick Viall. They're this great feud because Blake will just call out all of Nick's hypocrisies of exposing tweets versus Blake's redemption. I always thought Blake was in the right to take care of himself when everyone probably told him to not to. They're always good. There's certain people that that just don't really print as metaphorically, and that's kind of like Grocery Store Joe and Serena. They don't really, and that's a compliment. They're like pretty not anticlimactic. So Mari and Kenny, like they don't really bring much to a video because they're kind of just sweet.
Right.
It is the people that are slightly messy, like Claire. She'll be a little messy. She'll tell you how it is. She'll get into the comment sections. Those always do well on my channel because we'll talk we'll like spill into the comment sections.
Yes.
We'll spill into the he said this, she said that kind of tic-tacky fights. So the cleaner someone is, like a Tasha, once her story was over with Zach, then it's over. Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James were super hot when they got back together. I mean, just the stories of them, the paparazzi photos, it was huge. And now they're unproblematic and they're doing good things. And I like to cover stories when they have a charity event and stuff, but that's not the stuff that goes crazy.
Unfortunately, the very kind, sweet things don't typically bring the numbers as much.
Right. And I still make them because I make so much content, but that's going to be what am I going to make for people that are going to watch every day? And that's I get to choose that. And then it's rainfall's coming. Let's get out the baskets and try to collect as many new subscribers. Yes. And that would be the Chris Harrison in his heyday with that scandal. There's just certain peaks that Greg Grippo And Kaity Thurston was huge. Greg Grippo, Victoria Fuller, Johnny was huge. We talked about this. I do regret the way I broke the Victoria story, and I've apologized to her. But I don't regret the way I covered everything else. Like it was almost like the avalanche was already happening. Everyone was seeing this timeline that they didn't understand because the story kept changing of when they met. And now Victoria does her podcast with Greg Grippo, her intro podcast. I give it 9 episodes before it ends. Although I thought it was fine. I don't think she needs the money, and I don't see people podcasting that aren't like hustling.
I haven't listened to it yet.
Well, but with that, Greg says he wanted her to be the Bachelorette all along, and previously he said he wanted Kaity to be it. So people start looking at this and go, they're not believing. It's like the whole like, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
It's not lining up.
Not lining up.
Yeah.
But I regret that I broke that story because I don't want to be that person. And I think I told you this when we were at brunch. I don't want to be connecting the dots. I need to let the audience do that more often, and I can just present what actually is said. And then people can be like, oh, was there emotional cheating? Wasn't there? It shouldn't be my place to say.
Right. Okay. One more before we dive into recapping. Yes. Okay. Who from Bach Nation would you give your first impression rose to? Meaning, who did you meet in person that you were like, wow, this person is fantastic?
Boy, I haven't met too many alumni in person. Boy, that's a tough question. I'm a sucker for people. They all made it onto the show.
I know.
And they're super charming. They're all super charming. Who did I just meet at that event in December? I mean, I looked at Brandon. I looked at him in the eyes, and I was like, this guy, there's gorgeous people.
I know, you're fully, when we were at at Lovegrove's fantastic ball, we were both talking, we were like, wow, everyone is just so charming. To get on the show, like you said, you have to be like captivating and charming, and everyone was just so nice and charming, and you meet everyone in person, you're like, oh, you're great.
They're tall. They're not normal humans.
No.
Everyone's taller and more charming and better looking in person.
And stronger.
You're like, what
you
the
hug
hell?
them and you just feel their you're like, what this young muscle you have. I don't know if I can give an answer. I can't think of one.
Understood.
I can't think of one. But I do think that's what's always funny when someone's like, oh, so-and-so is just some average, like, oh, he's just an average white guy. I go, if that guy walked into a diner, everyone turns around. That's a stud. That's a good looking guy. I'll show you average. We'll go to a Comic-Con convention.
I'll show you average. He's right here.
Never say that about yourself.
No, you guys, come on. You guys are, and by the way, I meant to say this earlier. If I do have kids, it's going to be because of your family. You're so adorable. I'm not kidding. You're so adorable. Tasha and I talk about you guys. We're like, oh, we don't have to have kids the old school way where you're just some boring family. I was like, do I get a tattoo when I get a child? Like, you guys are just cool. Want to be like you guys.
You're very, very sweet. No, listen, that's the thing about having the kids. It's like, you can have them join your life and have adventures together, and you guys travel all the time. Like,
dude, baby Bjorn and a passport. We're going.
Exactly, and you're off.
Going.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I think I'd like that. And Tasha keeps going, oh, Dave, you got baby. You're trying to. You want a baby so bad. I'm like, I think you're telling me that because you want the baby so bad. I think we both want
are you doing reverse psychology
redemption
on me?
From our parenthood, which my mom was great. She was a single mom, so it's like no shame. She just worked really hard.
Yeah.
But like, we work from home. We can watch the kid at odd hours. It's not just like see at 6 p.m.,
Yes. No, that is a thing too that I feel very, very lucky about our situation, is because we've always both been in like creative industries, is that it's tough because then, you're trying to manage and work like the late hours, but you're able to be like, okay, I'm up with my kid all day, but then I'll have the whole night where I'm working.
Yeah, you took your kid to like a pitch meeting yesterday. I saw on Instagram.
Yes, we did.
That's adorable.
She took notes. It was actually really cute. She took notes, and I looked down, and the notes were just random words that were being said. It was like the cutest thing.
All right, I'm having children. I'm having children now. I'm doing it.
She wrote a list of random words we were saying that were all misspelled. Bless her.
And she's like this. And I was like, that looks
good. Yeah.
She's very, very serious about it.
Kid Boss, the new movie coming to Nickelodeon.
She's very intimidating. The man we were pitching to was like, whoa, she is a stickler. I'm like, I know. She means business. She's more intense than I am.
So funny.
All right, should we dive into this recap of all recaps? Okay, Dave, first initial thoughts from this episode.
Well, we're starting to see the weight of the season come down on Zach.
Yes.
We're starting to see Zach, which blows my mind. He's so serious about it. And it's like, nobody works out after the show. chill out a little bit.
You're like, the percentages aren't.
He's like, I'm
percentaging.
taking this serious, and it's like, do you think these ladies just came here for free for fun? You know, like I just
quit their jobs. Like, my God.
When he got into that with Anastasia the other day, when he's like, are you here for the wrong reasons? Zach, take your $125,000 and donate it to charity, and we'll find out who's here for the right reasons. He's the only one making money on camera. Him and Jesse Palmer.
That's the thing. And that was what the whole Anastasia debacle, Evan and I last week. I was like, listen, I was with Kylie on this because I felt like the way Anastasia was treating her was not okay. But when Zach sat down with the conversation about for the right reasons, I'm like, what are we doing now? Like, it's 2023. We're all very aware that the show is so run by social media. Who's going to volunteer to go on this show and deal with like the torture of production with zero potential possibility of an outcome? Like, sure, maybe they could find love. And that's great. Yeah. That's a great side bonus if that does happen. But also, come on.
The question's it's just a false question. Who's here for the right reasons? There are multiple reasons. Mm-hmm. Building equity in your brand or what you do, that's part of the game. And Zach signed up for the show that's what it is all about. Now, obviously, they want someone who's straight-laced and not worried about that. But like, I think that's the wrong way to go. I think it's the wrong way to go.
Yeah. What were your thoughts with? I
mean, with just that little comment though, like I just am like, if I was in this right now, I'd be like, cool, I'm going to start bringing up shit to Zach every week because he gets rid of them immediately.
Yeah, that's the strategy if you're one of the women. Yeah.
Like he doesn't even give you a chance. He goes, interesting. Okay, cool. Hey, it was really nice meeting you. Believe. And they're like, what?
Yeah. Where's the negotiation? I thought we were going to.
Everyone who's been cut has done 1/5 as bad as the previous seasons of people who got pushed off. Yeah. And he's just like, you're out. So, I mean, I'm surprised these ladies aren't like coming for jugulars because it's like, it's working.
It's very like Richie Rich, like take the ball and run. Like, no, my dad pays for the team. I get to start. It's just, and it's like, oh, is it getting to him? Because they must really, because it happened to Clayton too, where they really hammered in, this is about your love story. They're really trying to indoctrinate the lead to make decisions that burn a lot of people. Because in the end, it is his story, but they're all the star of their own stories.
Right.
Is Anastasia a horrible person because she makes her money going direct to consumer through her social media and not through some company that, you know, she has to get her healthcare through?
Yeah, what is this? What is the narrative going on? And that's the thing with Zach, that like I've really enjoyed Zach this season. I've really appreciated his honesty about everything because I know if I'm on the show, I would personally prefer to have a lead who is very direct with me. Like, listen, like I want to be on the show to get followers, but I also don't want to like elongate this torture if I don't have to. So if you're not into me, I'd rather know than actually get kind of like caught up in this thing. And then I can start to prepare for paradise mentally. You know, I can kind of shift my gear of what I'm going to be doing. So I appreciate the honesty, but this episode did start to make me question some things, which I'm assuming have to do with probably a lack of sleep, sickness, him feeling really pushed to the edge.
He was very on edge this whole
He was
episode.
very on edge, which I mean, great. I mean, the poor guy got fucking COVID.
Yeah.
But, and then they're making him put a suit on to do a goddamn rose ceremony. He's probably just like, fevered and sick. And they're like, put the suit on. And it's just like, oh my God, just like, pause this production for a few days. Okay, like let him sleep. He needs to sleep. Yeah. That was kind of the energy I was getting. But there were those moments where I'm like, oh, this kind of, you know, I'm here for the right reasons. And then when we saw the preview next week of him even talking to Jess, and I don't know how much editing is involved with this, but Jess talking about, oh, I just want a one-on-one. And he's like, you keep bringing that up. Like, it's not about that. It's about like me and you. And it's like, wait, what?
If he starts to mess with Jess, I'm done.
Are you a Jess stan?
Jess has been number one. I've just loved. Oh yeah, no, she's so bubbly. Like I hate it when you see someone who's like such exuberance. She comes in so sparkly. You hate it when you see those types of people get sort of rejected.
Taken. Yeah. They're like, you're too happy. Let me cut that out of your life. Let me give you some jaded bullshit in your life.
And it's like literally that's like you're watching like her that'll probably happen to an extent. She's almost like, but it's perfect for the show to be that optimistic and everything. And she's adorable. Yeah. She would any guy in the world in any bar would give her the time of day and this and that. But Zach's like, yeah, it's not about that. And it's like, well, maybe he needs a lady who's willing to stand up for themselves. But is he gonna just ditch them until he's left with whoever? But I think what it comes down to is this: if he's over somebody, he treats them differently. And people have used that as an excuse for him, and no one's supported him more than I have. The whole idea of him being a boring bachelor, I'm like, whatever, let the lead be boring. The circus is around.
It doesn't really matter. No one needs a super like. Is there ever like a crazy lead? It's like generally they're pretty chill.
No, they know you get as just a sort of a normal person and let the craziness dance around it. But with him now, you go, all right, well, if he's going to treat people differently, that's like when someone's rude to the waitstaff. That's the biggest turnoff. If someone's, we were at Universal with friends, and a friend of mine, I had never seen her act this way. Someone cut the line, and she started yelling at them, and she was like, she turned into she young Karen'd on us. She was a young Karen. And we were like, oh man, Sammy went there. And like, we love her to death, but we were like, we just saw a different side. And like, maybe someone cut the line on her on her birthday when she was 9 and she did. No one cuts the line on me. Yeah. We all have those things. Like, I'll fight someone if they leave the shopping cart in the middle of the thing. You put that shopping cart away.
I'm gonna follow you and walk you back with that goddamn shopping cart.
I'm a shopping cart vigilante. So we all have hills we die on. Yeah. But when you look at now, there's beginning to be a data set pre-COVID brain, post-COVID brain, where he did the same thing with Rachel Recchia. I kind of saw Rachel the way I saw Claire Crowley, in that anxiety seemed to get the best of her. And I say anxiety because with Claire, I love Claire and I love everything she's done post-show to talk about mental health and all the other issues. But, the guys didn't jump up to kiss her right away or jump up to go on a date. And she kind of had this limbic system flare and all that. And it's like there's a bunch of strange men holding weird things in the background. And there's a heightened feeling there. So I respect that. With Rachel Recchia, there was kind of that same thing too. When the cameras were on, you could feel the stress on her. Yeah. And so when she had whatever happened with her in the fantasy suite with Zach, you kind of go, oh, Zach probably was over her. But now I'm going, it does take two to tango. Did Zach treat Rachel Recchia as coldly as he treated Anastasia and Greer and some of the other people? And if so, yeah.
It was definitely one of those moments where my brain went right back to that fantasy suite, and you're like, was this what went down?
What went down?
God.
There's an energy to me that's really interesting with him in this one, because like up until this point, he's been very like good, especially on the dates. He's like really he knows exactly what to say when they're like talking about heavy stuff, and he's got this great just kind of ability to connect quickly. But this episode gave a weird energy, and then you see with the Jess situation where he's like almost like, I'm doing my best, so you shouldn't question it after that. Because he's kind of like...
angry dad.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like even what happened on the Zoom thing with Greer, there's like this weird energy of just like, if I say it, it means I've thought about it. And if you question it, you're questioning me as a person, and I take that personally. It's got this like weird kind of like, whoa.
Fun chat, bro.
Yeah. Kind of like...
kill the convo.
Like, as long as I'm just like bubbly and cool around you, you're cool. But if I kind of start to do that, you kind of snap, which is like an interesting vibe.
That's why I compared it to Jake Pavelka, because he was like a real charming guy. And then he just, until he's like, hey, and he kind of yelled at Vienna, and we're like, whoa.
Well, yeah. There's kind of like
I'm still cringing over a decade later to be like, oh boy. And that's the guy who's controlling the plane. He's a pilot. We don't need that. Yeah. But it's like, Zach's stressed out. How stressed can you be? You're 6'2", strong, and 26. You haven't even, your student loans haven't even kicked in.
6'4". No, that's what it seems to me is like, I'm just this reading stress all over him. Like, and again, the man is ill. Like, he is sick, and he is still being like forced to perform and make decisions. So there my empathy lies. I'm like, that's a lot. I'm like, nothing. When I am ill, and when I had COVID, not to compare my experience to his, but when I had COVID, like I was able to like have my week and a half of literally, first of all, the isolation, but also sleep. You're so tired. And the idea of having to like emotionally exert and try to be charming on camera, like no excuse, but I could see having the one moment where something just sets you off. Because when we saw him talking to Jesse Palmer on their Zoom chat as well, and he was breaking down emotionally. Like, we haven't seen Zach in that state of emotion yet, so it's like I feel like you see the stress is really creeping in.
When I had COVID, I had a lot of Dayquil and a edible. It was like the California cocktail, and I made like 15 videos. I was just like high out of my mind. I was like, do I have COVID or am I just high? I don't know the difference.
I don't remember any of these.
Fantastic content.
Dave's like, I made 15 videos. You're having to deal with 20 people wanting to date you. Grow up.
But yeah, I mean, when Greer was like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "No, I'm fine." You know, obviously he was recovering from something, and who knows how he was feeling. But like, you're never going to be your best. But like, you don't have to treat other people bad. Like, it would have been less energy. I don't know if we were jumping to the Greer part yet, but it would have been less energy to just say, "Yeah, my situation is like yours."
You're right.
He spent more time and energy being like, no, this is why it's different. It's like, you don't watch, like in improv, it's yes and. Oh, you're a space cowboy? Yes, you are. And we're going to Texas to whatever. You don't go, no, you're not. Yeah. Because the whole audience goes, whoa.
What's the Office where he's like, and he pulls the gun out every time? Yes. Have you seen The Office? Yeah. Michael Kern or something, Scott Kern. And he's just like, hey, what's up? And he's like, and I remember, and he comes in and he puts the gun on him every time. They're like, oh, God. Zach is
murdering conversations. Murdering them.
No, I'm like, if I would have been Zach, literally the second if she said something that was like bothering me, I would have just literally laid down and been like, I'm going to take a nap right now. Just keep talking. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep this off.
Just the effort to be that. I mean, do we all want to be that truthful? We're all assholes if we're that truthful.
That's the thing. And that was a little bit, we were talking about this last week, is that I've appreciated his honesty, but I will say if I was one of the women on his season, as much as I'd appreciate the honesty, I'd also be so nervous and on edge because I'm like, it's very clear if he likes you or he doesn't. Yeah. Which was the interesting part to me about the whole Greer conversation because he kept her and she's first impression rose and he's definitely seemed to be enjoying his time with her over the past few weeks. So this kind of came out of left field, which made me feel, I'm like, I don't know if we're missing something because it feels like there's either things edited out of conversation that happened previously that, set him off, or if it's just that he's exhausted and stressed. But regardless, Greer she was simply trying to relate her story to him, and she did not say to him by any stretch of the imagination, like, you should get your ass up and work and get over here, even though they were saying certain things with the ladies, but to him, she was just checking in.
So innocent. Just, how's the weather? It's raining, just simple. Oh yeah, I had COVID once, it happened here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what the hell it's just, that's why it's so interesting to talk about I think when my channel was spiking on this conversation, because some people are like, no, he was just trying to keep it real, but it's like, how exhausting. You know how it is in a relationship. Sometimes my wife talks about crystals and astrology. I go along with it. I don't tic-tac everything she says about this. She wants to know my birth chart. I'll tell you I've been lying to her about what time of day I was born.
just to see.
She's like, oh, you're right. A Virgo rising. Am I? I don't know.
Am I? I was born 6 months after I've been telling you.
I've been Sagittarius. She thinks I'm a Taurus this whole time. But it's like you just keep something to yourself for the sake of the convo. Just let the water keep flowing down the river. Don't put up a dam on every little thing. It would be exhausting. And it's like, is that and you say engineer, he's not an engineer, but is that like the tech engineer way of thinking? And I am not going down the route of sort of medically questioning what type of person he is, but we're all different. And It sounds like he's so tunnel focused, he's not realizing like, she's just shooting the shit with you, bro. I watched it today in a video and I paused every like 4 lines and you just see Greer's soul leave her body. You literally see
she's realizing I might have just broken this entire thing.
It's like a cartoon where you see the shades go down on the pupils.
Yeah.
Like, ding, ding, the shades are gone. She's off to lunch. She was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, no, if I was in her situation, I would have just been replaying the conversation over and over and over again in my mind and being like, what did I say? Like, I must have said something for this to be like very upsetting to him. So I wonder what it was like for her to watch that back now, seeing it on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was wild.
And I hope people don't think we're being too harsh. It's such a curiosity. This is the exact reason we watch the show, because there's so much to read into the dynamic here, and we're giving so much of the benefit of the doubt that we're literally blaming COVID on him being an asshole. Maybe he was sleep deprived. Maybe the room service hadn't showed up yet. The pillow's not to his liking. We don't know what it was, but like, that type of conversation ends relationships because it's weird.
Right. Like at least the beginnings of the ones. Yeah, no. And that's the thing too. And I wonder, I'm very curious about behind the scenes with production, if this energy that we're getting from him, like I said, that I've really enjoyed so far, but in this episode was really throwing me off. What is so focused on production being obsessed that we will have a lead that does have a successful relationship and have a lead that is here for the right reasons and find love, that if he is just being kept up at all hours of the night being like just fed, like this is the correct way to be a lead. This is the correct way to find your partner. Just make sure like I'm curious about that, of how much pressure production is putting on him as well.
And then in the coming weeks, we'll have to see because the stakes, we're 5 episodes in.
I know.
This is usually, if you look at the season as like a 3-act play, first act is like the fake villain, like Cassidy Tim Brooks, who had like the guy, the sort of friend with benefit back home. That's first act. There's always like the first few weeks. I don't even know who this season's initial villain was. Christina Mandrell, they kind of wanted to be. I think she was harmless.
Yeah, it was, and then the initial one was Christina, I guess.
Midway through the season, you start to get a 2-on-1 style date, a Chad Johnson type of thing. And then the third act, it's less of a villain and more just heartbreak.
Yes.
Like you'll have, so right now we're in this mid zone where it's like, really, are we looking for it? Was Zach forced to keep Greer by the producers? Is that why he was short? Because he didn't want her there? I don't know.
Yeah, high possibilities. Okay, well, let's talk about the very first date, because this was the only date that we got. Because if you didn't watch the episode, what ended up going down is we had our one-on-one with Gabi, and then after that, we found out that Zach wasn't feeling good, and both the group date and Charity's one-on-one was canceled. Devastating. And then we had the virtual rose ceremony, which I'll never get over. I'll never get over it. I just felt like I was in hell. Like,
so triggered.
So triggered.
The pandemic hug. Ugh.
Yeah, it was like, welcome back.
Oh God, no, I hate it so much. And also not only that, then the trigger of like every person who's ever been broken up with via text or Zoom or anything, you're just like, no, it's just terrible. But the first date in London, Gabi ends up getting what Gore has amazingly named the Pretty Woman date, which is the date where she is given all the clothes, all the shoes, glammed up, and who's the man that shows up?
Oh yeah, some dude shows up in a bowler hat, you mean?
Yeah.
Grant, but he said his name was Gunt. Like it sounded like Gunt.
Oh no! I'm saying the very first guy.
Who just
even announced it. Who shows up in a bowler hat?
That guy was not British.
Yeah, no.
That guy was just a guy from Cleveland who's a producer, and they're like, "Hey, put this bowler hat on and go. Can you do an accent?" He's like, "Yeah, kinda."
Timmy, get out there.
And he walks in. He's like, "Hello." Is the date, and then he walks out like, get the fuck out of here. That guy's Craig from Cleveland, dude.
He's the production assistant.
By the way, bowler hat. Have you ever seen one of those? Like, no one wears that.
Yeah,
there.
all right, James Bond villain.
It's like so fake. I mean, maybe he is. He's like at home going, what the fuck? But like, there was something just incredibly fake about him to be.
And how do you go from the Bahamas to London?
I know,
when I travel, I like to go bad weather to nice weather.
Yeah, right.
Start off with the bad and then get to the nice.
You end in the chill.
Yeah, you end with as little close as possible.
Yes, you work your way there.
Also, everything was like, oh, London, the city of romance. And I was like,
every French person is at home screaming,
France,
like, what?
Italy.
The city of love.
Yeah,
like London, the city of romance. Like,
yeah, no.
I mean, it's a great city, but have you ever been to London? It's not the city of romance.
Expensive beer and fish and chips.
Yeah, it's an awesome city, but it's just a funny thing. Like, everyone's just saying, it's Europe, so it's all the same. That was the energy I got. Like, France, it's all the same. It's just one city, right?
I'm like, France, Italy, sure, the city of love. The romantic, but London.
Europe, the city of love.
It was just like, and then now they're doing this like monarch sort of like theme, like the monarch's not the bane. Like the monarch is the villain of the season.
I know. I was like, isn't this something that we've been talking about? That this is not the good energy that we want to put out.
Yeah, like, I mean, we're Americans, right? Yeah. We left that shit. We're not idolizing it. Corgis running around. Get out of here. Imperialistic bullshit.
When they went to the perfumery, bless Edward, that gentleman who has put his whole life's work into creating gorgeous scents. And this is his passion. This is his life's work. And these two individuals come and bless both of them. They were having a lovely time. But when you have someone who, this is your art and this is your professional. This is what you do. And then, us Americans were sitting there and going like, smells like Sour Patch Kids.
Smells like an old man.
Yeah, just trash.
Well, they were like, this one's horrible. He goes, ugh. And then the guy walks in and goes, hello. And he goes, oh, hi. Yeah, how are you? Yeah, we're happy to be here. Like, it was like you're talking shit on someone and they're right behind you. Like, they were, oh, hi. And the guy's like, I have served royalty for 50 years.
Yeah.
Who are you?
And you're comparing this to a Sour Patch Kid.
Yeah, and their only palate has been chugging maple syrup from Vermont. Like, that's literally... Yeah. I mean, to me, if I smell 3, like you ever go to a candle shop, if I smell 3 smells, I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah, your brain like doesn't know any new
That's
smells.
it.
You need the coffee beans.
They had
to
like
really...
25 strips.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I do get overwhelmed by a smell. I feel like I might have thrown up. Like the nausea might have hit me. And and Zach at that point wasn't feeling good. I feel like we could also tell during that point.
He did seem a little...
Especially the evening portion, he seemed not like ill. Like he seemed clammy.
Yeah. Are you guys going to get in the perfume game? I'd buy some your mom and dad perfume.
I would love to get into the perfume game.
What would you guys do? Like some tobacco, patchouli?
We would call it, something like Jevin. Just like Zabby.
Vintage
Zabby.
2023.
Right.
The Zabby just sent me over the edge. I was like, so many potential names.
God, yeah,
Zabby.
I know.
Yeah, they were, it's one of those dates. Smelling things isn't a good visual medium.
No.
We don't get to partake. It's not like they're at a museum where we get to see the T-Rex or they're just strips of paper.
They're smelling it going, I don't get this. Is this British? What does this smell? Is it British?
And then the guy goes, oh, this has a wood scent. And then Gabi goes, woody. And then he sort of like smiles, but like doesn't give it too much attention. I'm like, buzzkill.
I know,
she made a woody reference.
It was a decent joke.
Gabi, but Gabi could be a good companion for his stoicism because it's always fun to have one person try to crack the other.
I have to say, watching their one-on-one date, I was like, I could definitely see these two together. Like, they definitely had a lot of fun. I feel like even though he clearly wasn't feeling great, was a little more like letting loose. He was laughing, having a good time.
It was the first time that I felt like he seemed like he was in a couple with someone.
I know that you do spoilers we don't hear, so we're just
no
mad
worries.
guessing.
And by the way, and there is no spoiler attached. It is undecided how this ends.
Oh, for
there
real?
is a war happening behind the scenes.
Really?
Wow.
Yes, it is contested, baby.
Oh, I'm so excited!
I love it. I know reality Steve, God bless his soul. He's like a double. He's quite. He doesn't know till it shows up. He's just he doesn't have a video evidence, and then the other people that have somebody else. There's multiple. The game's open, folks.
Wow.
We love it.
Oh
Very
my God,
exciting.
I'm so excited. I didn't
Very
know.
exciting.
I remember seeing like the spoilers, like here's the winner. So I was like, oh, and I didn't see the actual spoiler. So I'm like, okay, there's a winner. Like someone is at the end. I would
still put my money on him because he has a high batting average, but every season's a unique situation. But yeah, with Gabi, she was one of the last people to even talk to Zach. Yeah. And I think that's what's interesting is that he kind of saw something, because some relationships, it's about building a fire. You get these first impressions and then you think you're all set for a few weeks and then it falls away. And it's like the chemistry has to keep building.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It seems like he has a couple like lusts. Like he's got a couple that he's like, you could just tell when he's around them. He's just like, he's like almost awkward and like so attracted to them that he's just like, can I kiss you again? And then Gabi to me feels like the first one where he's like really comfortable and he's sitting there talking and he doesn't seem to have that like nervousness as much and they're really comfortable. And they're both not like very, like she's sillier, but she's also not like crazy emotive, and he's not super emotive, so they're both kind of on that vibe. No one's like crying a lot, and their dinner, they're just chatting and they're talking about a couple things, and then it ends and it seems nice. It was like, I don't know, it was the most just like, okay, interesting.
Yeah. And if he is this kind of perfectionist or super focused and rigid, and if he's all about the business of it, having someone like Gabi, you can just like make a fart joke and like laugh a little bit.
Yeah, she's not gonna crack under.
Yeah, that could be a good, and she also comes off sincere because she's not the type who, I hate to say knows her self-worth, but some of the people come in there knowing they're a bombshell. Yeah. And Gabi, as she said in this episode, was like, I don't know, I don't feel pretty all the time. Like she said he made her feel pretty without telling her that. And I think that's powerful to show that they do have that connection.
Okay, family, one more quick pause. So listen, I'm going to let you into my bedroom here for a second, okay? Sometimes, well, honestly, quite often, I am wanting to have some sexy time with this husband over here or on my own, but I can have a really hard time turning off all those busy, anxious thoughts and the list of to-dos in my mind and focus on relaxing. And what has helped me for years now turn the world around me off and turn me on is Dipsy. Wow, Dipsy is top notch, okay?
Spicy. Dipsy is an app full of hundreds of short, sexy audio stories that bring scenarios to life with immersive soundscape and realistic characters. I mean, they really have everything from stories about adventurous vacation flings to secret hot and heavy hookups.
And these stories, by the way, are hot. They are not cheesy at all. People always wonder and ask, like, are these cheesy? No, they are Sexy, sexy, okay? Dipsea is also radically inclusive, and you've never heard celebrities like this before, okay? You can listen to stories voiced by celebs like ER Fightmaster, Luke Cook, and more. And my favorite thing is that new content is released every week. So in between listening to your favorite stories again and again, which I love to do, you can also find something new to explore. Let Dipsea be your go-to place to spice up your me time, explore your fantasies, relax and unwind, or heat things up with a partner. Trust me, you're going to love it.
For listeners of the show, Dipsea is offering an extended 30-day trial when you go to dipseastories.com/momdad. That's 30 days of full access for free whenever you go to DIPSEA stories.com/momdad. dipseastories.com/momdad.
So I want to give you all something to think about next time you're in a grocery store aisle, okay? Did you know that 700 million detergent jugs, like laundry detergent, wind up in our landfills every single year? Yes, I said 700 million, okay? It's terrible, but it's not like we can stop doing laundry. So what we did was switch to Earth Breeze. Our new Earth Breeze laundry detergent eco sheets look like dryer sheets, but they're not. They dissolve 100% in any wash cycle, hot or cold. It couldn't be easier. No measuring or mess. Just toss them in. They really are incredible.
Yeah, their packaging is compact, biodegradable, and plastic-free. Their eco sheets are vegan, cruelty-free, and dermatologically tested and safe for sensitive skin. They offer flexible subscriptions that can be adjusted, paused, and canceled by you at any time without penalty. And with their buy one, get 10 initiative, each purchase donates 10 loads of detergent to a charitable cause of your choice. A whopping 30 million loads have already been donated.
I just absolutely love our Earth Breeze eco sheets. Not only are they so much better for the planet, it's also just easier and less messy. These sheets don't take up nearly as much storage as those other massive laundry detergent jugs, and it gets our clothes so clean. You've got to try it. And if you don't like it, Earth Breeze will give you a full refund. You don't even have to send it back. That is how confident they are that you will love it. And I am confident you will love it as much as we do.
Now's the time to try Earth Breeze, because right now our listeners can subscribe and save 40%. Go to earthbreeze.com/momdad to get started. That's earthbreeze.com/momdad for 40% off. earthbreeze.com/momdad.
Well, I mean, listen, the whole date went swimmingly, and dream date situation. Are you kidding me? I'm like, this is where then the cracks start to show, where I know if I'm on the show, I'm losing it, because now I'm nervous. She's coming up. She's bringing in, of course, the producers have her walk in with 15 bags. The first thing she pulls out are the Jimmy Choos. Also, I was noticing when she was opening up some, because I'm like, I don't feel like they did this much shopping. We didn't see this, at least. I felt like the different bags that she was opening, she was surprised at what she was opening. She's like,
it had
"Oh, look at
leftovers
this."
From the lunch.
It was
a pastrami sandwich.
It's like,
Next to the diamond, she's like, oh, sorry.
Oh, not that one. Jimmy Choos, yeah.
But no, she would open certain bags and be like, oh, this is cute. And I'm like, okay, so probably production literally they're like, take these and walk in with them.
Make them feel emasculated.
But, make them feel just like, just absolutely riddled with jealousy, because we're not getting the drama that we need and want this season. So, of course, we have to have the walk-in with all the bags.
It's the walk-in. And, she's, at least she was sort of the blue-collar girl from the season, from Vermont farm or whatever. She didn't feel like she could compete like influencer-wise with some of these ladies. Matt James' season, Rachel Kirkconnell got that Pretty Woman date. She was like a fastball knocked out of the park when she got that date. At least with Gabi, I feel like it was an advantage she could use.
Their relationship wasn't so quick.
Yeah.
So it's not like, his first impression rose got that date, or someone who he immediately had a deep connection with.
Right.
But, the producers were still going to try to make it a thing, because, of course, that's when we see Greer begin to melt down more. The week before, she had already been struggling. There was the situation where she started crying when she did not get the rose at the group date. And we knew that this episode, it was going to just continue to get worse and worse. I did not expect that it was going to get worse and worse because of high tea. I did not think high tea was going to be what really sent Greer
just
over the edge.
just latching onto something.
You guys, I have a tea tattoo. Like, what else do you need to know about me?
When they zoomed up on the tea tattoo, I was laughing so
it was the
hard
size
that they
of
were
a
like,
freckle, and you had to like zoom in on
It
it.
just looks like a mole.
that production was like, all right, put your
I have
arm
a
out.
tea mole.
We're going to take a photo of it so that we have the evidence that she actually does have a tea tattoo. That's how much she loves tea. But the tea is really, really what did it. And she had apparently told Zach previously that she loved tea and that was she loves high tea. So she was expecting that, which I will say, I probably would feel that too if I'm like, oh, we're in London, we've had this conversation. I'm his first impression rose and I haven't gotten time yet. So when there's a tea date, because I told him, I probably would get it. What Greer isn't thinking about is that with production, they're going to give you, they're not going to give you ever what you want. They're going to try to torture. So Greer says, I want high tea. They're not going to give her the high tea date.
Is tea that strong of a thing? Like, it wasn't like she was a ex-pro volleyball player and he had a volleyball date. Like,
no, that's how I felt.
Tea's a beverage.
No, I felt like it's like he knows I like wine.
Yeah.
And they drink wine without me. It's like, what? That's
I love sunlight, and they're gonna go out on a boat where the sun is.
How
dare they go out in the sun like that?
And it's really weird to also be like, and FYI, I mentioned this to him. It's like, he wasn't clocking the fact that you like tea. Like, I'm gonna remember she likes white wine. Yeah. So anytime the white wine comes up, I'm bringing Greer.
It wasn't specific enough.
It's not a personality trait to like tea. I think that's where there was a bit of a miss.
Unless you're British, but she's not.
Right.
I personally don't like tea. I have the opposite stance. Dude, don't take me on a tea date.
Yeah, I enjoy the pastry part, but the tea, I'll take
that was
coffee
the only
instead.
part. That's the thing. It's like lobster. I don't like lobster. Well, but you got to put butter on it. If you need to put butter on it, it's not good. I like butter on a biscuit. I'll eat a dry biscuit. Lobster, no one eats dry. If you can't eat something dry, you don't like it.
That's a good
very true
thing to not like.
Yeah,
it's very expensive.
I don't do exoskeletons, bro.
You don't do aliens?
I'm from New England, but I'm like white trash. I'm like fish and chips. I'm fried clam strips.
Fry the lobster and then we're good.
Oysters are rich people Jello shots. You ever see rich people eat oysters? No one likes these things. You got to put sauerkraut in it. Then it's not good. It tastes like salty nuts.
Oysters are intense. It's aggressive.
It makes me dry heave a little bit.
Yeah, it is funny. It is like, it's almost like probably like coffee if you think about it. It's like everyone goes, oh, the first time they have coffee when they're a kid, and then you just keep drinking it, and then all of a sudden you just like it one day, kind of.
Develop a taste.
But like, that's why I think people who drink decaf coffee are like maybe psychos.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wait, you just love the taste?
Yeah, O'Doul's.
You're like, you like the taste of this? Or are you like doing it because you're here or you want to wake up? Or like oysters are like because we're at oysters.
Yeah.
Like we go out. But no one's just like at home eating oysters by themselves.
Dude, some people are. I went to an oyster party. They're like, we shipped them in. I'm like, I don't care where they came from. I'm not eating your cold.
No, but I want to know someone who eats oysters alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who's just like, oh man, I'm going to watch some TV. I got my oysters.
Yeah,
like,
oysters,
no one does that.
Decaf. And don't want to be too sedated while I eat these things.
Got to taste all of it.
Are we in love now? I think we're in love.
I'm going to leave.
I'm going to have a party where I bring you oysters just to throw you off. Tea and oyster night.
Like, well, this guy's a liar.
Well, the high tea was a trigger, not an oyster decaf date. She didn't want that. She wanted the high tea. And this is where, okay, my personal opinion in this situation was that if I am sitting in this room like last week, like for Kat, okay, now I have to comfort even though I'm excited. And it's a different energy to me if we're dealing with the last two people who haven't gotten a one-on-one, but half of the room at this point hasn't gotten a one-on-one.
Yeah.
So kind of the focus of like, but this was the date I wanted. And then last week, that's where I was like, I'd have a hard time being patient in this situation going, we're all going through this right now. We're all absolutely stressed. We're all absolutely jet lagged. And half of us haven't gotten a one-on-one. So I don't know what this focus is. And then when there's the celebration, like, you know, when all of a sudden Charity received her one-on-one, even though she did not get it. But when Charity received her one-on-one and everyone around is crying and upset, and it's like, I empathize so much with that feeling. I'd be so bummed out. I'd go into my hotel room, I'd lock the door and I'd bawl. But when you're sitting next to the person, it feels a little more like inside thoughts. Like
you're complaining in the audition line with all the other people that didn't get the part too. It's like, yeah, we get it. We understand. This isn't fair. This isn't socialism.
No.
Everybody doesn't get a one-on-one date. Some people get 2.
Yeah,
life's
that's
not
the thing.
fair.
It sucks. And that's the issue that I'm like, okay, let the person celebrate for one moment and then have your moment maybe privately or when they're gone on their one-on-one date and we can all cry together as a giant unit who has not received one-on-ones. But I had to just shout out Charity in this episode, like mind-blowing to me.
Crazy.
The fact that Greer was having the high tea meltdown and Charity just like followed her out into the hall and was like talking her through it. And she's like, it's okay. We're all processing through that. And Greer was a little bit like, but I wanted the high tea. And Charity didn't react in the way.
We all wanted the high tea. We all wanted the high tea.
We all wanted that. But she was just there holding her hand and present. Just shout out to that woman. She seems like an incredible person.
Absolutely. And the people that play
person.
it cool, like Jess is going to come off great, assuming she's going to get a tough go. She's gonna come out great because she's been optimistic and hasn't complained. She's doing the process, and it's not gonna work out for her. I'm guessing. I don't have any spoil. I'm just guessing. And she's gonna be crushed, and the audience is gonna love her that much more for it. Versus the people that are kind of channeling their lack of control with anger. We're seeing anger, fear, sad. Well, they're all the same feeling, right? Mm-hmm. They're all like, I can't control this situation. I'm either mad or sad. It's whatever. It's all. That's why when my wife gets mad at me, I'm like, oh, you're sad. You're not. This isn't anger. You just just hug it out.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. But the people that turn it into anger, like with Greer, she's like, I don't give him a pass. She starts to play this game.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Two things can be right. We can not like the way that Zach handled the Greer Zoom call, but we can also be like, come on, Greer, like you don't know, the guy could be shitting his pants right now. Like he's not, if he canceled the date and then she saw him, playing bocce outside with his buddies, then it'd be like, okay,
exactly,
Zach's an asshole.
That was the other thing that was kind of blowing my mind during this episode. And again, the two things can be true moment where we were seeing when everyone initially found out Zach can't come, he is not feeling well. Then that turned into the evening portion and then the COVID announcement. And again, this might be fully edited and maybe everyone was like expressing their sorrow and worry for him and that was taken out. But pretty much all we saw from most everyone except like Charity and Kaity was, I'm upset about this and this is so frustrating. And again, that's the two things can be true. It's like, listen, I would be I am so jet lagged. We've now flown to London, still haven't gotten time with him, haven't seen him for a week. And now this is happening. Like, this is so stressful. Now I want to get back to my job. Are we going to keep filming? What's going on? All of those worries. But also then there's that moment where you're like, was there not going to be a beat of concern for this man that you're all vying for? Like, is anyone
Everyone's like, he better be sick and it better be bad.
I'm like, oh my God. Like,
everyone's like, I feel stood up. I feel this. And I'm like, I wish the note would have read, hey ladies, I'm super sorry to tell you that golf ran late. And I had too many White Claws with the boys. I will be playing another 18. I am sorry to let you know that I will not see you for another 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because I nursed this hangover.
That's how they took it. They took it that way.
That's literally how it was taken. I was like, wait a second.
Like, Gabi and I got so drunk last night that the hangover is too bad that I will not be showing up. Like,
there's some great courses in London, and I just wanted to see a couple of them.
They turn the TV on. They're watching Wimbledon. They just see him in the center court.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, mom, he's hanging out. Now, I mean, look, anyone who's been ghosted on, it's like they better have cancer because I will not accept that they just didn't like me.
Right.
But, I don't know. Yeah, they can't channel their anger towards the producers, so I guess they just see everything as Zach. Everything's built on this cult leader mentality where if they can just all focus on Zach, then they live or die by getting his approval and all of that. And it really takes them out of it just goes to show how quickly people can spiral when taking out of a normal environment. That's what the show's really all about.
1,000%.
They're 2 weeks into not having their cell phones.
And guess what? Guilty right here. If I'd be on, there's a reason we were together for a long time, but if I was single, that's just a little reason. But if I was single, I would not audition for this show because I know for a fact I would break.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's no way I wouldn't be having a full meltdown at this point of the season.
Yeah. And we're a little older in 20s. Oh my gosh, was my 20s?
I'd be breaking now. Check me out at 25. No,
my wife,
bad news.
My wife would be the villain on her eyebrows alone. She looks like I'm always like, honey, what's wrong with you? She's like, I'm nothing. I'm just thinking. I'm like, you look like an asshole. That's what you look like. But they're all. It's I hate to relate it to like animals in a zoo, but like you ever been to a zoo and like all of a sudden the animals just start fighting out of nowhere or something? There's it's like everything, the tripwire can be hit so easily when you take away people's jobs. They're things they do for fun.
Yes.
They're all just wired and ready to go. And now 5 weeks in, we're at the point where you start counting backwards and you go, well, there's only X amount of days for group dates left, and and you start like freaking out. Whereas the first couple weeks, you're like, all right, maybe next week will be mine. You have this like sort of like you don't have the same doubt that you have the longer it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that's then we're seeing the breaking that's beginning to happen, and then this obviously quadrupled it with the whole with Zach's illness. But we see then the women, we see Greer, she's starting to trip out, and Charity is being an angel and standing by her. And then, of course, we have the Gabi moment where she walks down the hall.
That was an amazing
and
one.
hits them with her bags.
And it's funny
and
because
of course Greer is sitting in front of her room.
Yeah.
I mean,
short of the Jimmy Choo bag slapping Greer in the face, they couldn't have been more insulting. Producers were probably like, "Oh yeah, Greer, have a seat here in the one space that you can't walk around,
right
in front of her room."
Yeah,
She's like, "No, I'd rather go to the closet." No,
like, no, the
sit in
lighting's
this
good.
throughway.
This lighting right here, it's perfect. You're glowing like right here, right in front of
It's like a sad tugboat in the canal.
Like, Gabi, come on through. You can go back to your room now. And she's like, sorry.
Like, Gabi, your room's down there. And then she just zips back and forth.
Greer's like, sorry.
It was so brutal.
The dress is just like...
Gabi had her game face on. She was like, I got to get ready.
I know.
My game, this is only halftime for me.
She was like, I got to get my princess dress
She's like, sorry,
on.
ladies, I'm so hungry.
Just like high heel steps on Greer's hand, just crunching bones. Hey, that's the season.
Oh, that is the season. Well, the women end up going on that the day portion of the date, the double-decker bus. And at first, it was just such a bad vibe. Like, the rain is pouring. Everyone is so just like, this is the worst. I hate this. And I was watching it going, oh my God, for the love of God, just throw back some like beer or mimosa and try to have a good time. Like, this is your day out. I know you all are trapped in your hotel rooms 24/7. Other than when you have these moments of getting out, just enjoy the day. Took a turn. They ended up enjoying the day, but then were definitely disappointed at the end of the night when Zach then didn't show up to the night portion, which I was dying over the fact that the producers had them both times get fully dressed, fully ready, show up, and then drop the bomb. Actually, by the way, he won't be coming.
They knew he was positive like 2 days earlier. It was just like so obvious.
It would have been great if he did his thing and then stood up and just showed off his boxers and just walked away. Like, yeah, it's like you just see this rigmarole, this sort of theater that exists. You know, we had Greer won the beer chugging contest, dropped a lot of beer.
Yes.
She spilled a lot of beer.
Spilled a lot of beer.
And not to be tic-tacky, but I was like, ooh, I don't know.
Like,
it's like when you shotgun and then like most of it goes on the ground and they're like, yeah. And you're like,
it's just in her hair. You're like, I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, but they had fun. I mean, I feel bad. I always watch that and feel bad for like the tour guide. He's like telling his wife, I'm going to be on some big American show, and then the star of the show doesn't show up and everything.
But
yeah. Brutal. Oh gosh, I didn't even think about that.
I wish the show would fuck a little bit more with them and like have some dudes hit on them at the bar.
Yeah.
The show steers away from that, but it'd be nice to just throw in a couple like soccer hooligans to just like spit some game and see what's going.
No, it's so true.
In the past, they've had a few times where like they've had like the sound guy hits on someone or whatever. It's happened. They've literally like, caught a guy jumping out of a window, right? Like a production guy. I mean, hey, shit happens when you party, right? But like, I just want a little bit more of that because there's too much isolated power with Zach. The lead gets, this is why I think Bachelorette works out better, although I know in recent seasons, The Bachelorette's probably the same bad rate as far as like success, but at least bachelorettes they know what to do with the power of selection.
Yeah.
Bachelors don't know what to do. So all of a sudden Zach's like just becoming a tyrannical dictator here, full monarchy mode, because he gets control. In a real life, if he treated some of them that way, there'd be another cute guy at the bar. They'd say, thanks, but no thanks.
1,000%. I would love to see a moment to have the lead, like have Zach sweat in that bar where all of a sudden it's like, oh, such and such was talking to who now?
You'd almost want him to compete Like if there was a way to be like, yeah, okay, we have 5 other random guys and him, you got to all go up to the girl and hit on him and see what they do and like make him sweat a little, like flip the script.
Or that's real life.
Yeah.
The ability that someone else can take them out on a date mid-season.
Yeah.
Every guy's been in a bar and you're like, I'm going to go hit on that beautiful woman. You start going in your head like, oh man, she's going to be the mother of my kids. It's white picket fence. And then some other like loser just swipes in and gets her. And you're like, oh man, I guess it's, and then you learn and I got to take my shot. And then you learn those things.
You walk right up and they go, no thanks. You're like, okay, white picket fence.
The friend is like doing this thing. I can't tell how many women have done the no thanks move when I'm just trying to like white dance my way up to somebody. They're like, yeah, we've all done with it.
Okay, so all the women hear that Zach's got COVID and everybody is, again, aside from a moment with Charity, bless her. I'm really hoping for Bachelorette vibes. But, most everyone's just like, well, he stood us up. He's not going to do this again. I had grace once and I will not have grace again. I'm like, this man has COVID. He can't do anything about this. Let's have a little bit of empathy again.
Yeah, they want like a doctor's note.
Yeah, I'm like, do you not believe him? Like,
see him
let's swab this for me.
If this is a man you're interested in spending the rest of your life with, like, let's have a little bit of empathy for the fact that this is a stressful situation of which he does not feel good. But then Kaity has a moment in which she delivers the basket of goodies, goes to his door, and then they have their moment, which, of course, as a viewer, is very telltale to, number one, the producers love Kaity. And this is definitely front runner vibes because, a lot of us know that when this is an opportunity given to you. Like, it's highly likely that Kaity asked, like, I would love to bring him something. She seems like such a sweet woman that was like, okay, this is how, when I don't feel good, like, I'd like someone to check in on me. She asked, but I'm sure there were other people who asked as well, and it was shot down. And so that was a very defining moment. Like, these two definitely already have a intense connection. She seems like a wonderful person. And now the producers are allowing this to happen and for them to have this extra time. And they did the whole montage. She had a whole flashback sequence from 2 weeks ago. And she was given the overnight date already.
Overnight date that early and then a flashback scene.
This is either the front runner or Bachelorette.
I think it's
like
one
it
of
has to be
the old Bob Ross, like a happy accident, right? Because the producers have a full wall of what kind of shots they want to get. Half of that gets cut out because of COVID. All the petty cat fights, whatever would have happened, something would have happened. They no longer have that.
Yes.
So now they're like, all right, and I talked about this on my live stream yesterday. It's kind of like they call it bottle episodes on a sitcom. It's like they'll like show a lot. They'll have like everyone's trapped in an elevator, and then they'll just do like, remember that time last year, and they'll just like do the replay scenes. It was kind of like that. It's a way to like get time spent when you don't have any new content. So they they're like, all right, we'll make a lovely montage. I don't think they were doing it for any other reason than they had 2 minutes to fill. Like, they were like, how much can we show here?
But then she was the one who was chosen.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So there's something to that.
Like, we can highlight this love story.
Yes.
Clearly they know Zach's really into her and all that. And then, she gets the chance to nurture him, which in any relationship, if you're ever given the chance, I cut my finger during the pandemic. My wife's calling urgent cares. I'm like, oh yeah, she's still looking out for me. Like, you don't know what the other person's capable of doing until you're in this dire situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like as the guys, you're always trying to be like stoic or whatever, but now here he is, like, you just see this vulnerable. We didn't get to see him, but I'm assuming he was shriveled up on the corner right next to her. It would have been great to have a side shot of both of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if this was an actual rom-com, you'd have that split shot.
Full,
where they're both looking at each other, then they both look away, then they both look.
Right. At this point, the camera crew had left Zach's room where they were there before, and also I'm sitting there going, what about Gabi? Are we not isolating? Is Gabi not getting tested? Like, she's sitting there with the women when they announce. Like, I'm just like, what is happening with production? I don't understand. I need all the behind the scenes information of how this is allowed.
They do spread it out, and it might have been like if they didn't legally have to test people they didn't want to, just because like maybe half of them are positive. Who knows? I have no idea what the rules and regulations are.
You never have what you don't test for. You know what
there
I mean?
It is.
Oh my God.
The old college right there. But I would have loved if they just like pulled focus away from Kaity, and they just showed Greer in the foreground still crying.
Yeah. She'd been there for just 24 hours.
Eating some Chinese food or something.
I was really hoping for a makeout between Zach and Kaity on the door. Like, I was really hoping for a door kiss, like a very wild, inappropriate, maybe grabbing inappropriate parts of the door, something. Give us a little something. More so than the Zoom kiss. I'm like, let's do this whole door. We're all feeling each other.
Very interesting. When Logan had COVID, there was this big conspiracy that he didn't have COVID because they just kind of cut him loose.
Right.
They just cut him loose.
Yeah, that was wild.
Versus obviously the lead, they can't do that.
Right.
But it would have been interesting to see how they handled the Logan situation. Because I mean, we had every sort of possible thought. People thought maybe he hooked up with someone, that worked on the Virgin Cruise Line.
Right.
People, did he get abducted? And he's stuck in the red light district. So many theories, and like the guy's just sneezing in his cabin by himself.
And they're
He's like, I'm just lonely and sick.
Yeah. By the way, Logan was at the show. Did you get to see Logan?
Logan was at the show. Yes, he seemed like a lovely guy.
Lovely guy. Moms love him.
Yes, the women were definitely, when they found out that Logan was there, all the heads turned.
Yeah, he's coming to my show Thursday. If anyone's been in San Diego, I have another show in San Diego.
Shout out. Where in San Diego?
It's in Pacific Beach. I don't know. I'll post on my Instagram. I think it's free or
we'll
cheap.
Put the link in the episode notes.
It's a dating show. And yeah, Logan's going to come and there'll probably be some other Bachelor people there. So
that's fun. Yeah. That's very fun.
Shameless plug.
I love a shame. Well, it's so good. I'm telling the people, you got to go. You got to go.
I'm going to bomb this one. You don't have two good sets in a row like that. No. Nothing like driving 3 hours home after a good bomb. Hating yourself. Looking at the stars.
What is life?
We've all been there in the desert alone. What is life?
The desert of your mind.
Yeah, the worst kind.
That's what I call my mind, the desert. And I'm alone all the time.
Self-doubt.
It's just the worst things up there. Okay, so I mean, basically, for the most part, we see kind of like the interaction with some of the women in the hotel room and the stress and the nerves and the he bailed on us vibe, but other than, I mean, the date's getting canceled and then Charity's date getting canceled, which that was the only thing, by the way, with the whole Kaity moment. I love Kaity. She seems amazing, but I was kind of pissed that wasn't the opportunity given to Charity. That it's like, okay, if you're going to cancel her one-on-one date, first of all, make sure that she does get an actual one-on-one, but also let her have that moment with Zach. Like let Charity have that moment.
Right. She should have had that moment.
That should have been Charity.
But I guess they wouldn't have had much footage to pull for her to get her own sort of montage.
That's true. And they needed time to fill with this half episode where there was no dates.
As if the show wasn't already stretched so thin. And they shouldn't be. There's so many conversations that are edited down that I think they could keep. I think they really underestimate the attention span of audiences, but it's just like, this is standard old school broadcast television. We live in a weird time where we still have broadcast TV. I was watching American Idol on my Hulu and I pay for the no ads. That shit flies by.
Right. You got person after person.
Crying, just loving it. Oh, they sang something. They sang with their dad. All these things. When you watch that on terrestrial TV and there's an ad every 3 minutes, you want to gouge your eyes out.
Yeah, you get taken out of it for sure. For sure. I wish they had more on the show, more like behind the scenes conversations with all the women or the men in the mansion or the hotels. I'm like, I want Big Brother vibes. I want the behind the scenes of what's like the relationship dynamic more so than the romance. I like the human dynamic with the people who are all living
every
together.
Episode. For more content, go to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There's a reason why our type of content exists. I've been saying this forever. The amount of money it would cost for the show to have a studio in LA, New York, Chicago, and Nashville. Chump change. They don't do a pre-episode. I do a pre-episode and an after-episode live stream. They don't have tea time with Becca Kufrin. They could literally have Wells showing up to do an hour and a half before and after every show just to talk about
1,000%.
They don't do it. I don't get it.
Hire all of us, guys.
No, the second if I'm on their payroll, they're like, no, we don't talk about this anymore. Like,
no, that's going to be a hard pass. All right. Well, what they definitely decided to go low budge for was the virtual cocktail party and the virtual rose ceremony, because for the love of God, this is a huge show and they don't have anything set up in like the whole holding the iPad for the virtual cocktail party. My blood was boiling. Like that thing is set up in the corner. There's not a stand this can be on so that these poor women aren't trying to figure out where they should sit or if they should hold it. Charity's like sitting next to it, leaning in. Greer's like on the other side of the room being like, hello. It's like, and then they can't see themselves.
They should have strapped the iPad to that British guy. Just strap it to his face and have him just pretend to be an animatronic.
But he just has an American accent now because Drake forgot about it.
He's just like, no, continuity. If they're gonna do this to me, fuck this. I'm not playing with the British accent anymore. You're just getting me. No, but that was blowing my mind. Like The lighting's not great. I mean, oh my God, you guys, this could have been done. It could have looked and sounded
they set
so
up
much
all
better.
the lighting, and then immediately the girl picks the iPad up and turns around and shows the time.
Yeah, you see the lighting, and then also they don't allow the women to see their face, which
Why
was
couldn't
mean.
they just do some Bubble Boy stuff?
Okay,
go
that's
to
funny you
Home
said this.
Depot and get a plexiglass divider.
I wanted this. I wanted for the rose ceremony, I wanted him in a bed like this, like the Godfather, and he's in a plexiglass dome, and then all the girls walk up to him, and he's like, will you accept this rose? And then he's like, it was nice meeting you. And he's just like in bed like this, in like this big room, in like the conference room of like this hotel. And then he just leaves. He's like, it's like you're saying bye to the Godfather before he passes.
I'm sure Zach would have appreciated that more, that he could have stayed cozy in a bed instead of having to get
in a
fucking
scuba
suit on.
One of those scuba. There's so many things they could have done that, and again, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Maybe
There's
they were just.
probably a lot of rules and regulation around it.
I don't know. If the grocery store lady can have the divider up, I think we can figure this out.
Well, I'm also like, if Gabi's in the room after being with him, like, I don't understand what's going on.
And that's a question a lot of people have been asking is like, what is the timeline there with Gabi? I mean, you don't just get COVID. They were.
It takes typically a few days. So they had just made out, and then she's sitting with the women, and they don't automatically pull her. I'm like, if I'm one of the women, I'm like, yeah, don't.
So you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, if I'm one of the women sitting there, I'm like looking at Gabi, like, I don't want to like point Gabi out,
Everyone's
but like, excuse me, like I don't want to catch COVID.
How good is it that it happened week 5 and not fantasy suites? Can you imagine if they give an iPad with just a thing of tissues and you're like, how about some cyber sex, folks? You try to have cyber sex, you got one of those Zoom backgrounds on. You're like, I'm in Tahiti. They're just kind of like, what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing.
I love that.
We've all been there. Somewhere in the ether, there's some cyber sex.
By Pornhub, and it's just like this sponsored, like
T-Mobile 4G, so you don't buffer when you're buffing it.
Brought to you by Lubriderm, Kleenex.
They zoom in. They have all these products for each person.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, that's so true. Much better timing for this. But I also don't understand. I get that it costs a ton of money, but this show is so cheap, and the fact that they weren't able to just push it a few days, the fact that they literally went through with this virtual rose ceremony, and again made Zach go through this whole thing full suit, keeping like how long those the virtual cocktail part was, I have no idea. Even though I was thinking, if you're one of the women who hasn't gotten time with him, that is actually kind of nice, because you're not going to get stolen. You actually have some one-on-one time with him.
That would be fun if they did still steal. Kylie's spiraling, or whoever it was, someone's spiraling out of control, and you're like, can I just, and you just like pull just slide the iPad over. He literally stole the iPad.
Yeah. Literally just pulling it back and
intercept the feed.
Yeah, one of them's a hacker and just busts the feed.
They come into the other circle. Hey, guys.
I've taken over the channel.
Yeah, uncharted territory. We made it this far into this pandemic, 3 years before the lead gets COVID. Can you imagine when the show's all about, hand jobs and puckering each other? It's just, not to be too visual, but like, it's literally the opposite of social distancing is this show.
I know.
How did they make it through Claire's season?
It is quite jarring. And now here we are, and they decided to go, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to do the virtual rose ceremony. That to me felt like you're giving up, ABC. That felt like, we know our ratings have been low. Fuck it. We'll just throw it in instead of just waiting out like 5 days, making sure everyone's good, and then going forward.
How romantic would it have been? You know those suites where they have the door that connects the suites? Just slide a plexiglass up.
Yeah, and you could see him on the other side.
Foam around it, really airtight it.
2 hands up against the glass.
Yeah, some Titanic stuff. Yeah.
Draw the heart in the
pressed up against
condensation.
The glass.
I had band in high school. We were St. Patrick's Day parade, so we were all in New York City for this band trip. We were performing there, and there was a giant tent dividing the different bands. So there was another school on the other side of this clear tent. I had a sticker that said "Kiss Me, I'm Irish," and I knocked on this tent, and there was a girl, and I said that, and she kissed me through the thing.
Oh, that's romantic.
That was a highlight of my house.
That's romantic.
Super virgin moment. I was like, I think I'm in third base after that move. Yeah, they could have had any of these.
This could have been so romantic.
And it would have been
really
actually fun to watch and a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And then it also would have been like, yes, a moment to talk about, but also then a moment too for the women who, so Kylie and Mercedes end up getting sent home, and you're like having to get sent home with a screen also knowing I might also potentially have COVID now. So who knows if they have to isolate. It's just like, this is the worst parting gift of all time after we just flew now to London and here we are stuck. And this is how it ended.
Merchandise. Like I went on The Bachelor. All I got was COVID. because they're now week 5. You're in this part of the season where The Bachelor walks you out.
Yes.
And it's no longer like goodbye. It's kind of like
you get your moment.
You get your moment. Yeah.
Yes, and they don't get that.
And so it was Charity who didn't have the one-on-one. Is that who it was?
Yes.
So
Charity.
yeah, I mean the butterfly effect there. Who knows what?
She might not get it.
If they don't give her a one-on-one, that'll be the most outrageous bullshit of all time. Like if they are like, well, that was considered your one-on-one.
Did you think she's in the Bachelorette running?
I think so.
I'd put money if I had to on Susie Evans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I see the content of she's a good content person.
She's an amazing content creator. Like she's been crushing social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's stayed single, even though I'm sure her DMs have been busy in Bachelor Nation.
Her DMs are packed with offers.
But I think the show could use a little bit of that, like she's got the humor, but also like the guys would fight all over her. But I don't know enough about Charity or most of the people from this season, so we'll have to see who the front runner. I mean, by the end of the season, the top 4, there should be like a breakout star of who it might be, you know, second or third place.
I'm imagining top 4. Our guess was Charity, Kaity, Kat, and Gabi. Like it seems pretty
Ariel.
clear.
No,
Ariel, that's true. No, we were talking about Ariel too.
Stop traffic.
Yes.
The traffic stops. They're just gorgeous humans inside and out. They really are. They've all got so many perks to them that they could all carry the season.
All of them are amazing. It's more like who does it seem like Zach is like hyper focused on, and those 5 women seem definitely to have the most like hyper focus. Now, what was very interesting to me, so we'll see how this carries on, is the fact that Zach did keep Greer after all of that. So it's like, okay, is he not liking her? And that's why he was snapped at her. And then producers are wanting him to keep her around to maybe do a whole villain situation or drama in some way. Or was that him having a tired, sick moment and he likes her and wants to keep her around? I'm really interested to see kind of what it's going to play out with that, because I was surprised.
It sucks to be sick. I wouldn't want my spouse to be also an asshole if they were sick. That's my whole thing with Zach.
Correct.
Just like,
yes.
People that are assholes don't generally know that they're being an asshole in the moment. They're not reading the room.
That was a moment that was very much like interesting. Took a note.
Yeah.
And,
does he want like a situation where the wife doesn't work and she just like fawns over his job? I could be reading into it.
Some people
I don't generally do this.
Some people get kind of rude when they get sick. Yeah. Like some people get like on edge and they're like I had a buddy who was like that. He was totally normal. And then when he would get sick, he'd get so mad that his girlfriend wasn't like bringing over stuff regularly and like taking care of him. Like he'd be like, yeah, it's bullshit, dude. Like
20 red flags about friends.
No, but it was just interesting. It was like he would just kind of turn into like an angry sick person. Yeah. So maybe he just gets, when he gets sick.
I think I would feel that benefit if it was the only issue, the Anastasia convo, and how he keeps bringing up how Rachel wasn't. I mean, he's basically, rather than saying him and Rachel weren't meant to be, he's basically saying she isn't who I thought she was. He's calling her a fraud.
The whole Rachel thing, and we hadn't ever really discussed this, but the big flag to me with the whole Rachel piece was that I remember him saying that it felt like an interview, and all I could think about was if I am literally like days away from potentially getting proposed to by someone, the second that door closes and I'm getting a vibe that we might not be on the same page with certain things, I'm giving an interview. I'm figuring out where do you like affiliate politically? Like where are you are you religious? I would do a full interview. This is my only time to do it. And I wouldn't want that exposed on air, have this like deep personal conversation where I'm interviewing him. So when he brought up that interview, a while ago, that it felt like an interview, I was like, oh, I'd do that if I was the lead too. I'd want to know everything. I'm going to get engaged to you. I don't know what your social media looks like. What if I get engaged to you and the second I get engaged to you, I log onto social media and we are not aligned, honey?
Yeah,
like,
that's
and it's
like
a shock.
That stand-up bit that I wrote for that show was about like, if you're in the fantasy suite, you have to ask questions like, where were you on January 6th? You have to like subtly be like, are you crazy?
Like, excuse me.
Where were you?
Like,
because you don't know. Yeah. I'd be doing a full interview because I don't know what you're like. I've only met you a couple times at this point. Like you're getting an interview. Yeah. And if you have a problem with it and you feel like that's me being cold, like, well, I guess that's on you, to be honest, because I need to find this out if we're going to get married. Well, I'm very interested with this whole Zach dynamic. I've taken the notes and I've been like, okay, observe that.
New trait unlocked.
New trait unlocked. Where I'm like,
you know what it's like? It's like you're a teacher and you just had lunch with another teacher who says, watch out for this one. That's where I'm at. I'm going, okay, we've seen a few different things happen. I'll be pleasantly surprised if it's over and that's it. But I'm starting to look with the razor focus how he handles the people he's not that into and those types of conversations.
Yep. And I'm very interested specifically with Jess with this one-on-one to see what that looks like. If I was editing or if it looks like what it looks like to me, I don't feel like I'm going to feel very happy about it.
I'm angry dad already.
Yeah.
Don't mess with my
her
sparkle
Jess.
queen.
Don't mess with his Jess.
Oh, she's so kind. And you know what? Her Instagram is always a million other girls sharing her, or women sharing her, like the night of the show. They'll always have like other people will tag them in it. All these watch parties. She's got like this. She's got all these friends. She seems to be so well liked.
Yes, everyone seems to love her. Well, when she was rooftop with the double-decker bus, when everyone at first was like, "This is the worst," and I can't, and this is what a nightmare. Jess was like, "Oh my God, look over there!" And then like
she might have gotten the farthest with the least amount of words.
Oh no, genuinely, that's so true. But then the bagpipe player, and she's like, "Oh my God, look, the bagpipe player!" And she was trying to like, let's get this party going.
She could have like her husband takes her camping for their 10-year reunion. She's like, outdoors, pine trees. Like she'll always like has that positivity.
Glitter.
Don't take advantage of her niceness.
No, do not. So we will see. We'll see what next up. We didn't get a preview for next episode, so who knows if the COVID will continue. I sure hope that they take a fucking beat and then we are able to start when it's not virtual anymore.
That's a strong their travel days, he'll be back.
Sure hope so. We didn't see the preview specifically for next week though, so it makes me scared that we're seeing virtual stuff. So
Gabi gets it, then Gabi gives everyone it, and then he's free, and then they're all on Zoom.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe they'll just do a scuba date. They don't have to, just put masks on each other.
That's very true. Well, Dave, thank you so much.
Thanks for
coming here and recapping with us. You are amazing. Can you please just plug away? We'll have everything in the episode notes.
I want to thank you guys for being so welcoming, but for putting on a superb show. Your technical audio, everything about y'all, and it's usually someone's got really good tech, but then they're like personalities. You guys, it's unfair. I'd listen to you guys over like a phone call quality. So this is just the audience is so lucky to have you. I'm so excited for your continued growth. With that said, every afternoon, including during my honeymoon, I will be making just 2 hours a day.
No one works harder than Dave Neal. The man does not sleep.
I had content at my wedding. Trust me, there's content every afternoon. Bachelor, Rush Hour, the podcast Top 10 Entertainment News. We launched it in the fall, still growing. I'm going to be doing you. First of all, you are on my Mount Rushmore of podcasts I've wanted to do. Yes. So I'm so glad you asked me before I really begged.
We are so honored. We can't like I've told you before. We are like such big consumers of your content. We just love everything you put out. So thank you.
Well, it's fun. Oh, yeah, thanks. But it's it's just fun. It's fun how they're like some people stick to each other within the community. But I think it's just an energy thing, and you guys have an optimism as you watch the show. Some people like feed this negative thing. You guys don't do that, and I respect that because it'd be too easy to do that. But yeah, every afternoon I compile all the day's news, all the Bachelor happy hour clips no one wants to listen to. I'll just find the pertinent stuff, smack it all into a podcast, and I release it at 4 p.m. East Coast every day.
Fantastic.
So if everyone who's listening, this comes out Wednesday, right?
Yes.
My latest episode that I just released has a clip of Kaity Thurston and my Q&A from the live show.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm going to relive it. I'm going to listen and relive.
As Kaity approves them, I'll continue to share snippets, but they might be heavily bleeped. This one is uncensored. It's involving Blake Moynes. So people can go check that out.
I'm going to relive it. I'm going to listen again and relive because it was too good. Dave, we so appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Air hugs.
Well, thank you again so much to Dave Neal.
Master,
wow, we just absolutely love Dave. Yes. Everything about Dave will be in the episode notes, of course. Mm-hmm. We love him. Thank you so much, Dave. Before we wrap this episode, should we do some call home moments?
I mean, we would never miss this.
We would never miss it.
We would never miss the time to talk to our kids and say, hey,
we would never
fix your life. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we need to hear from our family.
Are you kidding me? This is a family time. We got to have this family time together.
So let's do it. Let's jump in.
Hey, Mom and Dad. I'm just calling in to get some advice on my current situation with my partner. Backstory, we've been together for 7 years and have 2 small kids together, 1 and 3 years old. And lately, just everything that he does just annoys me. And I just feel like I'm always in a bad mood and annoyed when we're both home together hanging out. And it's not like he does things to annoy me. It could literally be him asking me what I want for dinner, and I just feel like I roll my eyes and just like, I don't care, whatever you want. And just small things like that. And I really don't know where it stems from, and I don't know how to fix it. But I do realize that it's a me problem, and I just don't know how to go about fixing it and stop being annoyed with him. So any advice you have will be greatly appreciated. Love you guys.
Love you and love the honesty.
Welcome to marriage. Just wake up one day and you're like, hey, why are you the way you are? Why do you exist the way you exist? Because it's driving me insane. Stop breathing.
Yeah, no, literally. The way you blink bothers me, okay? Why are you holding on to that blink so
Your
long?
Your general face
Yes.
is a problem for me right now.
First of all, I want to say to this member of the family, do not feel like, I don't know if you feel bad about it or guilty or like you're alone. This is everyone feels this way. And I appreciate you being honest and open and willing to talk about it, because I feel like a lot of people, this is such a common thing in a long-time partnership, and there's like waves of this, and I feel like not a lot of people are like express it, so already like so many steps ahead of this, and appreciate the honesty for sure.
Agreed.
Can I just dive right in?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would say when I've had situations like this, God bless our marriage, when everything you've done
it just drives you insane. Yes.
It has been a time where when I kind of take stock with where I'm at, there are definitely things just in my life that I'm generally unhappy about. And a lot of times that then gets put on the person that I feel the safest with. And I think for a lot of people that can be your partner. I know for me, it's Evan. So when I'm generally feeling unhappy or tired or stressed or frustrated in my own space, I will like direct that agitation and irritation towards my partner sometimes, because that is a safe place. So I would say that the number one thing that's really important to do is kind of reevaluate where you're at with everything else in general. Or I don't know if you have a job, if you're currently feeling like unsatisfied in your job, or like that's not something that you enjoy, or maybe you're not feeling seen at work. I don't know if you're having enough space and time for yourself. I know that you have 2 children, so maybe there's a space where you're not having enough you time, and it's kind of maybe all about the kids all the time, and you never have that break, and so you're feeling really depleted and exhausted. I don't know if maybe you're spending too much time with your partner and you haven't had that cup filled with friend time. I think that's a really good place to start, is to evaluate how you're feeling in all the other areas of your life, and if there's a piece in that you feel like could be better. And let's just say it's that you haven't had just enough free time. Like maybe you're just going. You're always taking care of stuff at home with the kids. I don't know, again, if with a job, with your partner, and you need time for you to take a deep breath and to do what you love doing, to refill that cup, because you are human, of course. And then maybe having a conversation with your partner and being like, hey, I need to make sure that these 2 times a week, I have like these few hours to myself to go pursue this hobby or spend time with these friends, and to make that a priority. And I would say, at least for myself, when I've done that, I've always then noticed that all of a sudden those things about maybe Evan that are frustrating me, that have nothing to do with anything you're doing, kind of start to diminish. And I realize that, that's how I'm feeling, you know?
I agree. I mean, first of all,
I've never bothered you though, right?
Never once. And that's crazy, because I can't relate to this question at all. No, I mean, I think there's 2 things that could happen. One is he could just be doing some stuff that's kind of annoying. There's a piece of that, right? Where it's like,
but she was saying
I know it's just me, but there could be some things where
that's
it's like,
true.
She's trying to just be low maintenance, but it's like, hey, you're kind of bugging me. Like, like here's a good example. I know for me, like when we were kind of deeper into having Ember, and kind of like, you can kind of get like, I don't know, complacent and just kind of like, well, what are we doing tonight? A little bit, you know, and you can lose a little bit of that, like, hey, I already got food ordered, and you kind of like, I don't know, looking out for your partner going, okay, she's killing herself over the kids and working, and nonstop, and she has no me time.
And maybe I'm not stepping up.
So I'm going to come home, and when I get home, I'm going to already order dinner. I'm not even going to ask her. I'm going to make sure that my area is clean and make sure I did my laundry and whatever, kind of clean up after myself, because I know that can really make it hard when she's at home all day. If she's at home all day, that like she's stomping over my dirty socks and that kind of thing. You can get kind of lazy a little bit. So that's one thing that if that is happening, you could talk to him about and just say, hey, I feel like you're just kind of letting stuff go. And I would appreciate if you kind of brought back some of that energy into like taking care of the situation. If that's not the case, I feel like I kind of had this in January a little bit. I was just kind of walking by things and just annoyed. Yeah. Like, I know you didn't notice it at all. No, but like I would just honestly, there was a little bit of like when I'd walk by Jess and just feel annoyed, but not because like of anything she was necessarily doing, but because I was like in the house and I was noticing things that bothered me, and I don't know, you're annoyed at everything, so she's a part of that. I find that shaking things up a little bit, like just shake it, just like means like something needs to be shook up. So I started like hiking. I mean, that's like such a basic LA thing. It's so lazy. Like, I started hiking, but I just started going on some hikes, and I noticed like that little tweak was something I normally don't do, and it allowed me to come back to the house a little bit more like reframed, and I wasn't as annoyed. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be big, but it could, even if like, let's say you can't get away from the kids, like you're like, hey, we can't figure out a nanny, or you can't figure out some sort of break. That's hard.
Or a family close by.
Okay, then just take the kids to a new place, go somewhere else, meet with a different friend you haven't met in a while. Like I think it's like a brain thing. Your brain is getting used to this, like every day's the same, and then you start getting annoyed at everything. It's like shake it up somehow. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to be like, I'll go to Peru, but like it could be just a slight tweak.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Well, you've got this. So appreciate the honesty. I think this is something, again, a lot of people just aren't open about, and everyone feels this way at some point in a long-term partnership. So we appreciate you. Yeah, those are a couple ideas, and sending you so much love. Should we do one more?
Yes.
Let's do one more.
Hi, Mom and Dad. My question for you is about how you know if you should have a baby. I'm 31 years old, and my husband is 32. We've been together for over a decade, married for 3 years. And a lot of our friends have had babies in the past, like 2 years or so. We're at that age, I feel like, where people like start having babies. And for a lot of our friends, it seems like the decision is just so easy for them. Like they're just like, yes, of course we're going to have a baby, get it done. And for me, like, I can't stop thinking about all of the things that we would give up, at least at the beginning of having a child, like our freedom to go out with our friends and do our hobbies and like go on vacations with each other and have really good quality time. And like right now, it feels like giving all those things up would be really hard. But I also like love kids, and my husband loves kids, and it's hard to imagine our lives in the long run without a child. But I feel like taking the plunge, like all I can think about are the losses that I would see, and that our relationship would go through. So I guess that's my question. How do you make that decision? Thank you.
God, another question that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, that so many people feel that's so important. So thank you for sharing this and opening up this conversation.
I was like, John, I heard this funny thing the other day. It was like before you have a kid, everyone who has kids is like, oh my God, what are you doing? What's taking you so long? Jump in the pool. It's nice in here. And then the second they have a kid, they're like, gotcha. It's like, you're in. Because there is an element of that. I remember people just being like, what's taking you?
I know, and then all of a sudden when I had there was the newborn and I'm like not getting any sleep, they're like, I know, isn't it terrible?
Like, isn't it insane? And you're like,
what? Where was that honesty before? Listen, I'll just say this. I know there are definitely people out there who have those moments in their life where they're like, we are absolutely ready to have a child. Like it is time. And that definitely happens. I think a lot of people don't necessarily feel that way. I think a lot of people have questions, they're not sure, or there's like a surprise pregnancy or whatever it is. So everyone has a different journey with this. But just to this specific family member, I would say, I know when there's people everywhere around you and all your friends are having children, that it's hard to not feel like you're on this specific timeline or that you should do something. I guess when there are so many people around you who are like, we're having kids, like it's going to be great, like you should all join us, that pressure does creep in. And I know you were saying that, you know, you and your partner both really love kids, but you're like, yeah, but there's all these things that I'd be missing out on in a single life. I think the most important thing is to just do your very best to not let anything on the outside influence you and your partner, okay? Because you're having all these questions that are so valid. And at the end of the day, not having kids might be best for you all. Like, there are so many people who are in partnerships who do not have kids, who have just as amazing and fruitful and loving lives. It's just some people, it's a different journey for everyone. Yeah. And I think where then there can be trouble is when you get influenced by people around you of how you should specifically live your life. And every single question that you are feeling right now and concern is beyond valid. And maybe that's going to be you and your partner's journey, and you won't have children and you'll have this amazing, fruitful life. Or in a few years, you'll literally be like, you know what? I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I'm ready. We feel both connected on this decision and we're ready. But I say, just allow yourself to continue to have those feelings of those questions, those conversations. I think communication is so good. You and your partner keeping the line open when you're having different feelings. Like, I have this concern, or all of a sudden, like, you know what, I'm feeling like maybe I might want to. Like, keep that through line open and don't feel pressured or rushed. Just enjoy your time. Maybe you can hang out with some of those friends who have the kids, and then you kind of like, you know, maybe that'll help you make your decision, be like, no, this isn't for us, or you know what, we think we're really ready. But just don't ever feel any outside pressure, because your life and your and your partner's life, that's your journey, and should just 100% be your decision. And either decision is correct for you. So yeah.
Don't listen to anyone except us. Here's the thing. I mean, like, first of all, don't listen to anyone. If anyone who has a child says to you, what's taking you so long? Never listen to them. Never listen to them ever again. Because that is an insane thing to say about someone's like the rest of their life that has nothing to affect you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Correct. Like you're asking someone why they aren't doing something that's not going to affect them at all. Like at some point it's like, what are you doing?
No. This is human life.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I would do two things. I'm more like, my brain always goes practical. I would make a list of things that you are important to you, that you feel like you might give up having a kid. If they are box checkable things, I would go do them like now or this year or whatever. And I would be like, okay, it's like, you want to go to these 3 countries, you want to do this thing. I'd be like, go, do it all, do it as much as you could possibly pull off, do it all, get it out of your system. And if it's like extra stuff, think about what you can do and see could I do it with a kid? Also, another thing to think about is that you're absolutely right in thinking this way. You are going to lose a lot by having a kid. You are going to lose that ability to just get up late on a Saturday and go to brunch hungover. Like, that is going to be harder. You know what I mean?
And there will be life changes that last for forever. Obviously, it's more intense at the very beginning, but it will change the dynamic, and it will bring on an amazing different dynamic, but it will be different.
So this is what I'm getting to.
It will be different. Yeah.
What I'm getting to is like, there's going to be really hard times. There's going to be great times, all that. But I would look at it like you want to buy a house, right? You're like, let's say you have a chunk of money in the bank. You want to buy a house. Well, that means that you can't spend all that money on traveling, on new shoes, on that car you like. You got to go, what do you want more? Do you want the house? It's going to take all that money, and it's going to take a lot of energy, and you're going to be like, shoot, when we buy that house, we're going to have very little money in the bank, but now we own a house. Think of kids a little bit like that, where it's like you're building this future, but there's sacrifice involved. So you have to kind of just decide what's like when you're ready to buy a house, make sure that like you've checked off some boxes. So I would do the same thing with the kiddo. If you're feeling this tension, write down what it is exactly you're afraid of missing out on. See what you can accomplish, and then see what you were willing to give up on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, listen, at the end of the day, like, you know, you're talking to Evan and myself, and we're obsessed with our kids. We love being parents, but I'm not going to lie to you and say that it didn't change like so much of how we live our life.
Massively.
It totally did. And so for someone stepping into this and you are processing, you are actively making the choice whether you're choosing yes or no, it's just so important to be aware of like, yes, it definitely will change your current life situation and it will change it in new amazing ways, but also will make things tough. And that's just the truth of the matter. Yeah. So again, we're just reiterating what's most important is doing exactly what you and your partner want and not being influenced by anyone else around you. Yes, there are like tough pros and cons when you're processing everything, but ultimately it's your call. Yes. So sending you both so much love. I know that's a lot to process, but I think the fact that you guys are both being so communicative about it already, that you're already thinking these thoughts. So I know for a fact, whatever decision you all make is going to be the right decision for you. Yeah. Yes, 1,000%.
Well,
those were two good questions.
They were really good.
Holy smokes. Well, we love you, family,
we love you
so
guys.
much. We cannot wait to see you all next week.
Yeah, have an amazing weekend.
Yes.
Live your life.
Weekend, yes.
Kisses, hugs, the whole thing. We'll see you next week.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.